Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is story about what if Naruto has wielded Suzumabachi part 1. Before I start, please do support for more amazing content and comments for part 2. Do consider to subscribe my channel and share my video to your friends and check out the description as well. Let's start the video. The Chunin exam finals had come. The crowd roared with approval at seeing that the majority of the best genin in their shinobi village were participating, and even more pleased with the events now before them. At the moment, they were seeing Uzumaki Naruto fighting Hyuga Neji in an all-out fight, and the latter of the two had just scored a crucial blow against the blonde whom the people hated with a passion. It seemed victory for the Hyuga branch. Family member of the Hyuga clan had obtained the victory he proclaimed fate deemed was his and his alone to have in this match. That fate was tied to all things. Fate was the one to decide who was the victor and who was the loser in life. However, if there was one thing Uzumaki did, it was shatter the illusion of fate and the way people saw things. You were failed to lose from the start, Uzumaki. Fate has declared me the victor of our match, and fate had declared you a failure, just like back at the academy, said Neji, as he saw Naruto struggle to get up and cough up some blood. You bastard! You call me a loser, but at least I never tried to kill Hinata over some crap that happened years ago, and clearly wasn't her fault, said Naruto before Neji dashed forward and kicked him in the face. It was her fault. She was weak, said Neji, seeing Naruto sit up with a grin on his now bloody face. Baka! She was child. Her kidnapper was a jounin from Kumo. How could she possibly fight him off? How can you possibly justify your actions knowing that? Said Naruto, as the face of Hyuga Neji scowled further, and lashed out with his gentle fist, with the strike hitting directly in the heart where he had aimed for Hinata in their duel. Because fate decrees that I can. Unlike you, I have no illusions about being free, and no illusions about having a choice, said Neji while seeing Naruto's shock pain-filled face look at him for a few seconds before the Uzumaki boy grinned again, and laughed. Then allow me to shatter the notion of fate for you. Shatter. Kyoka Suigetsu, said Naruto before his form shattered like glass, much to the surprise of Neji and the people in the stadium. What the hell? What kind of jutsu was that? Said Neji, only to be stabbed from behind with the sword responsible for his injury sticking out of his stomach. Poor deluded fool. Fate has no power over me. Fate is an illusion. An illusion you have had forced upon you by the adults of this village like they did me. But I am not bound to such an illusion, said the smooth, deep voice of Uzumaki Naruto from behind Neji, which was much different than what everyone else was used to. And it wasn't just his voice that changed either. Naruto had changed entirely. No longer was Naruto the spiky blonde-haired, blue-eyed, orange-wearing, ramen-eating loudmouth who spoke of being Hokage and acting like a complete fool. The Naruto that stood behind Neji was wearing black shinobi pants, black shirt, white trench coat. His hair was pulled back with a single strand of blonde hair, and face that was smoother now, though the whisker marks that everyone used to recognize him as the Kyubi Jinchuriki were now thicker. How? You shouldn't, said Neji, as he felt the sword being pulled out of his back, and fell to his knees. Shouldn't what? Know anything about swords? Know anything at all? What you know about me is just an illusion. An illusion I have cast over the eyes of the village since I turned 8 years old, said Naruto, as his mind drifted to the memory of how things had first changed for him then, and it all began with what he found in the Hokage's office, the forbidden scroll of sealing. Flashback 4 years ago, Naruto waited patiently for the Hokage to get back from whatever it was he had been out doing, which always seemed to be the case with the old man, and the blonde decided to sit in the Sandame's chair until he got back. Of course, after what seemed like a long while to the impatient boy that Naruto was, being an Uzumaki with all their childlike impatience, and started to look around the room. He had felt something in the past few years of something calling out to him, but could never truly hear it, and wondered if the Hokage should know. Ultimately, Naruto felt the old man shouldn't know, as the Hokage might think he was not right in the head, and have his head looked at. Now that he was in this room alone, Naruto felt the call of this feeling get even stronger, and calling out to him behind a wall holding the pictures of the previous Hokages of Konoha. After examining the pictures, the boy found a safe behind the Yondaime Hokage's picture, and being the Uzumaki he was had picked the lock to get into it, and pulled out a large scroll with the kanji forbidden written on it. Placing the scroll on the Hokage's desk, Naruto unrolled it to see what wonders it held, and saw the name of various jutsus, techniques, and skills that made the lead so strong written down in detail. This very scroll was a treasure trove of knowledge that could be dangerous in the wrong hands, and right now it was in the hands of a just turned 8-year-old blonde Kyubi Jinchuriki. What's this? Said Naruto, as he saw a seal with a spiral on it, and for some reason felt the need to touch it. Upon doing so, the seal activated before revealing a sheathed sword, and a rolled-up letter attached with the same seal on it. Touching the seal on the rolled-up letter, it broke with mere seconds, and the paper unfolded to reveal what was written. Dear Naruto, if you're reading this, then you've found my greatest treasure that I myself found many years ago, and tried yet failed to use to its maximum potential. It fell from the sky many years ago, landing hard with a huge crater being created from the impact, and when I took hold of the sword did I learn what kind of sword in my hands really was. It's called a Zanpakuto. A sword used by the Shinigami himself. A weapon used by a death god and was apparently very powerful from what the Zanpakuto told me. I know it sounds crazy, but the blade is actually a sentient weapon, which has a name, and only by speaking the name of the Zanpakuto do you unlock its true power. I have failed to do so, even though I came pretty close along the time I was pregnant with you, which when looking back, was most likely because I was pregnant with you, and thus means the Zanpakuto's true user is you Naruto. My son, I want to say I'm sorry for what your father, and I had no choice in forcing upon you. It was never our intention of turning you into a Jinchuriki of Kyuubi, as I would never wish to do that to my own child, and I know your father didn't want it either. While I have hoped against hope with my dying breath that you were told by the Hokage about your burden, as well as your heritage to us, there is a good chance that you were not told anything by the old monkey, and your father's dying wish was not honored in the slightest. Given the history of those burdened with what you have, I'm inclined to lean on the latter, and thus have not been told anything about what you now are. Don't be frightened, my son, for I too was once the Kyuubi Jinchuriki, as was another Uzumaki before me, and knew our burden was going to be a heavy one. If it were up to me, I would have taken the Kyuubi with me when I died, but sadly that is not the case, and your father was forced to seal it into you. The old monkey promised us he would tell you about the Uzumaki clan, our home in the land of Whirlpool, and our skills in the sealing arts that made us so feared in the first place. Though something tells me the man we trusted has other plans for you and Konoha will not have your best interest at heart. My only hope is you can use this Zanpakuto to its fullest potential and follow the path you want in life regardless of what others may try to do in order to direct you along theirs. Sincerely, Uzumaki Kushina. Naruto continued to read the letter several times, as he couldn't believe this was real, and then looked at the Zanpakuto before realizing this was real. But why the deception? Why hide the letter? The truth about why people in the village hated him? Why did the Hokage lie to him about everything? It didn't make sense to him. Reaching over to the Zanpakuto in question, it glowed upon him, touching the handle, and the Uzumaki's world went dark. End flashback. Naruto smirked further at the memory. The Zanpakuto had called to him, as it was his to wield, and had proven that after meeting Kyoka Suigetsu for the first time. The Zanpakuto had shown him its previous wielder, a rogue Shinigami of captain rank by the name of Sosuke Aizen, who was among the most powerful of Shinigami in Soul Society, and had nearly brought it to its knees. However, upon seeing his plans had not gone exactly like he planned, Aizen had apparently anticipated being defeated, and in moments of his own defeat did the rogue Shinigami throw Kyoka Suigetsu into a small dimensional rift before anyone even knew what he had done. Do you see through the illusion that is fate now, Hyuga Niji? What you fought was an illusion. An illusion of what the people wanted me to be. What they had tried to turn me into from years under their thumb. What the Academy saw was a fool, but in reality they saw the illusion of a fool, and thus they were given what they wanted. It wasn't hard. After I mastered illusionary properties of my Zanpakuto, I raided the Forbidden Scroll of Sealing a second time, and learned the Shadow Clone Jutsu. I then used the combination of my Zanpakuto and Shadow Clone to fool everyone while I made move while watching and waiting for the right time to reveal myself, said Naruto before turning his head to look up at the old man sweating heavily at him. It's not possible. I would have known. I would have remembered if he used something like that weapon with such powers on me, thought the Hokage fearfully. Such power should be mine. Perhaps I can convince the Kyuubi brat to join me after I burn Konoha to the ground around me, thought Orochimaru under the disguise of being the Kazekage of Suna. You want to know how I beat you, Niji? It wasn't skill. It wasn't even the power of my Zanpakuto. I won by using your pride against you. Your own pride, as a member of the Hyuga clan, had compelled you to fight in such a stagnant and predictable manner. All the Hyuga know is gentle fist taijutsu and kaiten. The Byakugan eyes compensate for weakness of being attacked long range by seeing the attacks before they get close enough to hit. That's it. There is a way around this, however, which is pretty simple when you think about it, an exploit for future use, said Naruto, as he walked around the downed Hyuga with his weapons still out, and Niji struggling to rise. What are you talking about? There is no weakness, said Niji defiantly, leaping up to strike Naruto. There is that Hyuga pride of yours again, blinding you to the truth and making you lash out violently to those that speak it. Bakudo number 1. Sigh, said Naruto before pointing at Niji with his free hand, and in an instant the Hyuga boy was on the ground again with his hands tied behind his back before eating dirt. What? What is this? Said Niji while looking up at Naruto. More of my power, said Naruto simply, but in truth it was the vast knowledge Aizen had learned, and Kyoka Suigetsu had stored inside to teach its user upon its name being spoken. Naruto had spent all this time learning what Aizen did in terms of Kido, and while most of them were mastered he still had a ways to go. Coward! Said Niji before Naruto stopped and looked down at him. Coward? Such an ugly word, wouldn't you say when describing this situation, Niji? To call me a coward considering what you did seems hypocritical, don't you agree? Didn't you put your cousin in a similar situation a month ago? She was on the ground bleeding, hurting, and in agonizing pain just like you are now. You called her weak. Pathetic was another word you threw in too. Yet she still rose to fight. That takes courage, Niji. That takes fortitude. Something your so-called fate cannot provide when the fight is not in your favor, said Naruto, as he walked away from Neji, and then paused before turning to look at the proctor with a knowing look. The winner of the match is Uzumaki Naruto, said Genma, who still couldn't believe like the people in the stands watching that this person was Naruto, and he was the winner of the match. That was unreal, said Ino, as she saw Naruto walk so confidently towards the fighter's box, and his Zanpakuto now sheathed while medics took Neji away. The Naruto we know is a lie? Said Sakura in complete shock at seeing this new and supposedly real version of the blonde Uzumaki. It can't be. Naruto is weak, loud, and annoying. This is not him, said Ino in complete shock along with the rest of the rookies in the stands. Troublesome. Just when you think you've figured Naruto out, he pulls this, and freaks out just about everyone in the village, said Shikamaru in the box while turning his head to face Naruto now heading towards him. It's what I do, Shikamaru, said Naruto with a simple smile, yet it had a predatory look, and it made the hairs on everyone's heads around Naruto stand on end. Yeah, well, do it less so I don't get a heart attack at an early age, said Shikamaru while Naruto just chuckled. No promises, said Naruto with that same calculating predatory smile on his face. Will Uchiha Sasuke and Sabaku no Gaara come down to the arena now, said Genma, as he saw Gaara appear, but Sasuke had yet to show up, and the Kazekage's youngest was clearly upset. Where is my opponent? Said Gaara, as the sight of blood being drawn in the last fight has awakened his own bloodlust, and the red-haired boy was not going to be denied. Hokage-sama, what do we do? The Uchiha isn't here yet, said the Jounin bodyguard standing beside the Hokage. Isn't it obvious? You disqualify Sasuke for being late, said Naruto, as he appeared behind the Jounin, and nearly scared the crap out of everyone in the Kage booth. Naruto? What are you doing here? Said the Sandaime Hokage surprised, as he still couldn't believe the boy had become this, and it frightened the old man a bit. What? I can't say hello to my most favorite person in the village? Said Naruto with a grin that was not the friendly smile the Sandaime Hokage nervous. That's not it, Naruto, but you have to admit this change in your appearance is very much unexpected, and I'm concerned for your well-being, said the Hokage with Naruto just narrowing his eyes slightly. Really? Were you concerned for my well-being when I was young and being beaten up by the village if not the shinobi? In some case, the very shinobi you assigned to watch over me were also the ones responsible for the attacks, and yet they were barely ever punished. Why? Said Naruto, seeing the old man sweating now with nervousness and the Kazekage was looking at them with interest. And Naruto, perhaps this conversation should be discussed in private, and not in front of guests like the Kazekage, said the Sandaime while seeing Naruto's smile grow. Yes. We will talk to you later, Hokage-sama. Until then proceed with the matches, said Naruto before he was gone with a speed the Sandaime couldn't track. What was that? That speed was unnatural, thought the Sandaime before looking over at the fighter's box to see Naruto there like he had never left. Hokage-sama, perhaps the Uchiha's match with my son should be postponed until the boy arrives? Said Kazekage while the Hokage looked over at him. No. I cannot. Every participant, except the Uchiha, has shown up on time for their match, and to show him favor would be frowned upon, said the Hokage, though the Kazekage would not relent. But your own people and the future clients of both our villages wish to see my son fight Uchiha Sasuke. Surely, you won't deprive them of this fight, and my son his happiness, said the Kazekage while the Hokage thought it over with Naruto looking back with that name calculating face from earlier. Very well. Postpone Uchiha Sasuke's match until the end, said the Hokage with the Jounin nodding and relaying the message to Genma. If the Uchiha cannot show up on time for his demise, then he is not worth my time, and is a disgrace to this village, said Gaara, as he went back to the fighter's box, and watched his brother forfeit the match, saving his strength for the invasion no doubt. Little do they realize that both Suna's and Sound's forces outside the walls have been eliminated, thought Naruto smiling knowing he had spent the last few hours before coming here destroying the outside invasion force. Will Sabaku no Temari and Naro Shikamaru please come down for your match, said Genma with Temari leaping down using her fan while Shikamaru groaned. I don't want to fight another girl, but I have to prove I'm a man, and fight one at the same time. Troublesome. Maybe I should just forfeit like that Suna guy did, said Shikamaru to himself before raising his hand to forfeit his match, before being pushed off the railing by Naruto. Sorry Shikamaru, but the people here want to fight. And while I don't really care what the people want, I'm feeling bored right now. Entertain me, said Naruto with a chuckle. Damn blondes and their troublesome ways, thought Shikamaru getting off the ground, wiping the dirt off, and casually walking towards the center of the arena while yawning at the same time. Ready to lose? Said Temari while grinning viciously at him. Not really, but it's too troublesome to fight and win the match, said Shikamaru, which for some reason irked Temari since she felt he spoke more out of arrogance, and wanted to beat some sense into him. Oh, so that is how it is, huh? Said Temari angrily while reading her fan, and Shikamaru had seen a similar look on the Suna woman's face on his mother when having a talk with his father. Why is it women always get angry with me no matter what men say, thought Shikamaru to himself before he found himself running for his life while Temari unleashed her female fury on him via her powerful wind jutsus. Don't worry son. We all take a beating now and then, said Shikaku mumbled to himself while his wife looked over at him. What was that honey? said Yoshino with a sweet smile that many times in the past had been the tone that spelled doom for Shikaku if he told her something that upset her. Nothing, said Shikaku quickly, knowing it was the quickest way to make his wife happy and avoid the woman's frying pan dubbed the emasculator by all the Nara males of the clan. Good boy, said Yoshino in that same sweet voice, which told him she liked his answer and wouldn't hurt him for now. Time to meet your end, said Temari, as she was about to send him into oblivion and beyond with her next attack. I give up, said Shikamaru before dodging the attack. Winner by forfeit, Sabaka no Temari, said Genma, though Temari seemed to get even more ticked off than before. Coward! Take your beating like a man, said Temari, who charged at him with her fan ready to be used like a heavy blunt weapon, and Shikamaru started running for his life in a circle with the Suna girl hot on his heels. Oh, don't they look so cute together, Shikaku-in? Said Yoshino, seeing her son run for his life. She reminds me of you. Only instead of the fan, you used a frying pan, and chased me all over the village, said Shikaku before feeling the iron grip of his wife on his arm and knew he was in trouble. Well, I had a good reason and I made an honest man out of you, said Yoshino while Shikaku laughed sheepishly while his wife gave him the evil eye behind the sweet smile. That you did. Can you stop crushing my arm now? Honey? Said Shikaku, as he felt her grip lessen, and the look in her eyes told him she was going to hurt him later. We'll talk about this later, sweetie, said Yoshino while Shikaku started to sweat a little in fear and made a mental note to take a long-term mission from the Hokage after this was over to avoid his wife's fury, even if his words were true when comparing her to Sabaka no Temari. That's enough. You can hurt him later, said Naruto, appearing between them and easily stopping Temari's strike with a single finger while Shikamaru hid behind him. Fine. Make no mistake, Nara, your ass is mine, and I'm going to tattoo my name on it for good measure when it is, said Temari with a death glare. Thanks a lot, Naruto. Maybe now you'll finally believe me when I say women are scary and troublesome, said Shikamaru after breathing a sigh of relief. I heard that, said Temari and Yoshino at the same time. Troublesome, said Shikamaru and Shikaku, with the latter crying out in pain when his wife hit him in the head with her frying pan. Next match is Uchiha Sasuke vs Sabaka no Gaara. Please come to the arena floor now to get things underway, said Genma, with Gaara appearing a second later while Sasuke was nowhere to be found. It would appear Sasuke is not coming. Disqualify him, said Naruto while seeing Gaara nod in agreement. It's not up to me, you, or Sabaka no Gaara. It's up to Hokage-sama to issue the order for Sasuke be disqualified, said Genma, with Naruto scoffing. The old man is a pathetic wimp. He has less of a spine than a snake, said Naruto calmly while Genma glared at him. Watch it, Gaki. He's still your Hokage, said Genma while Naruto scoffed again. Hardly. The man is a liar, an abuser, and unworthy of the power the position of Hokage grants him, said Naruto with Genma frowned further. Go back to the fighter's box, Genin, said Genma with Naruto just smirking at him. Of course. Good luck, Gaara, said Naruto before vanishing from sight. In the Kage booth, the Sandaime Hokage sighed heavily, as everyone waited for Uchiha Sasuke to arrive, and it was making the people restless. The daimyos and future clientele were getting fed up with waiting for Sasuke to show, to the point where they were booing the Leaf for waiting on the boy. Hokage-sama, we can't wait any longer, said the Jounin next to the Hokage with the old man sighing. I have no choice then. Disqualify him, said the Sandaime Hokage, and even Orochimaru, under the disguise of being the Kazekage, knew to ask for some kind of postponement after all of this was pointless. Uchiha Sasuke is disqualified. Winner is Sabaka no Gaara, said Genma, with the people of the Leaf booing the decision. Fools. They boo him now, but if they want to be saved, and he's late, the tune they sing will be very different, said Naruto in the fighter's box before Gaara appeared looking angry. I want to fight, said Gaara with his bloodlust leaking out. Patience, Gaara. All good things come to those who wait, said Naruto calmly to his fellow Jinchuriki while Gaara just let out a growl of sorts. Will, said Genma, but was interrupted when Hatake Kakashi and Uchiha Sasuke made their presence known in a flashy entrance. Are we late? Said Kakashi lazily. Yes, actually. In fact, had you been here a little sooner, the Hokage wouldn't be forced to declare Uchiha Sasuke disqualified, and thus make the Leaf look incompetent in front of our future clients, said Genma, with Kakashi looking shocked and Sasuke's face showed anger. But what about Sasuke's match with Gaara? Said Kakashi, as he didn't expect this to happen, and had been assured by the Hokage that the boy would participate despite being tardy. Ended with Gaara being the winner by disqualification. Hokage-sama postponed your match, and then everyone waited for Sasuke to appear. Eventually, the clientele and the daimyos were getting impatient, said Genma, seeing Sasuke scowl before smirking. Well, I'm here. I bet that loser failed in his fight against Niji, said Sasuke confidently while Kakashi smirked behind his mask. Actually, Naruto won. Shocked the hell out of two with his strange powers, said Genma, with Sasuke frowning while Kakashi shrugged while thinking it was Kyuubi's chakra he used. I wouldn't praise him too much, Genma. Considering the power he used is not really his own, said Kakashi while Sasuke looked up at him with a raised eyebrow. Actually, the power Naruto used isn't what you think it is, Kakashi, and would actually be surprised if not proud to know the Gaki won without it, said Genma while Kakashi just waved him off. If you say so, said Kakashi in a bored tone while reading his book. What about me? I'm here to participate in the finals, said Sasuke, seeing Genma frown at him. Not happening. The Hokage declared you are disqualified and are now out of it, said Genma, with Sasuke once again looking livid. He can't do this to me. I need to participate in order to advance. Itachi was already past Chunin at my age. I need to prove myself, said Sasuke while Genma shook his head. Not today. Go up to the stands. Your teammate is up next, said Genma before Naruto appeared in an instant. You heard the Proctor Uchiha. Go watch from the stands, said Naruto with a smile, while Sasuke sneered at him and Kakashi frowned. What's with the new look loser? Trying out for some kind of Hokage wannabe contest? Who do you think you are? Huh? The Yondaime? Ha! Get out of the arena. This is my fight now, said Sasuke before an invisible pressure covered the arena grounds and the Uchiha fell to his knees along with the two jounin around him, while Naruto just looked down at him with a bored expression on his face. Foolish boy. You have neither the right nor the power to command me to leave, said Naruto, while seeing Sasuke suffocating under his power. Another little thing Kyoka Suigetsu taught him that Aizen himself did. With that said, the Kyuubi Jinchuriki stopped his power from crushing the Uchiha, and waited for Temari to come down to the arena floor. However, she decided not to fight, and forfeit her match against him. Hence why Gaara was now standing in the arena for the third time with a grin on his face while ignoring Sasuke struggling to get off the ground. You were right, Uzumaki Naruto. All good things do come to those who wait. I will now finally get my chance to fight a strong opponent. You, said Gaara while staring at Naruto with the bloodlust coming off of him in waves. No, you're not. I'm your opponent. Not this loser, said Sasuke, only to be backhanded in the gut by Naruto and making the Uchiha fall to his knees before puking. Get out of here before I do more than just make you puke, Sasuke, said Naruto, as he looked at Kakashi, who frowned in disapproval of his action, but didn't care, and waited for the jounin to take Sasuke away before focusing on Gaara. Such arrogance. It's insulting to your village, said Gaara with Naruto just smirking at him. This isn't my village. It hasn't been for some time, said Naruto with Gaara raising an eyebrow at him. So you would betray them, said Gaara, seeing Naruto smirk a little bit more. I cannot betray those who have already betrayed me, said Naruto with Gaara smirking now at him. How true. Something we have in common, said Gaara while the crowd tensed at their words, realizing that these two boys, both hated since their birth, were not the submissive individuals they believed them to be, and could turn on them at any second. Yes. It seems to be happening a lot lately. Mist has lost bloodlines from their civil war. Konoha has lost its true strength due to the pride of those in power and the belief they are invincible when in fact they are lambs to the slaughter, said Naruto, letting out a laugh that made the people in the stands shiver. You are much different than I saw you a month ago, Uzumaki Naruto. You surprise me, said Gaara, seeing Naruto smirk further. I'm about to do that again once more, said Naruto, shifting just a hair, and Gaara knew it was time to fight and stop talking. Ready? Fight, said Genma before bringing his hand down and leaping away from them in order to give the two more room to fight. Gaara's sand launched itself at Naruto, who was gone one moment, and reappeared the next 10 feet to the left, and had yet to draw his Zanpakuto. His smirk never leaving his face, as Gaara frowned at him, and commanded his sand to go after the Kyuubi vessel. Once more, Naruto vanished before reappearing at a different location, and once more upsetting Sabaku no Gaara. His speed is unreal. It's beyond anything I could do, thought Rock Lee, as he had just arrived to watch from the stands with Mado Guy, and saw the two were impressed. The boy no one thought had a chance in hell of lasting this long now taking on the Suna's most powerful genin. Hold still, said Gaara, as he kept trying to use his sand against Naruto, but found it was too slow like it had been against Rock Lee, and it seemed the blonde wasn't even trying. And lose to your sand? I think not. Bakudo number 61, Rikujukuro, said Naruto, pointing at the red-haired boy, which covered Gaara in 6 wide beams of light, and paralyzed his entire being that surprisingly disabled the sand too. This is not possible, said Gaara, finding himself unable to move and being unable to use his sand. Like the Uchiha, you have become arrogant, and believe yourself untouchable with the sand protecting you, said Naruto while Gaara was clearly freaked out by this. What kind of jutsus is that? Thought Orochimaru, as he was almost salivating at the idea of turning Naruto into one of his subordinates, and if he could disable Kyuubi, his new vessel. I'm sorry, Gaara. Heido number 4, Byakurai, said Naruto now in front of his enemy, as he just pointed a finger at Gaara, and shot a stream of lightning at the redhead's shoulder. It was the first time in a little over 4 years since Gaara screamed out in agonizing pain, and it made the Suna siblings watching look at Naruto with an intense fear gripping their hearts. The very notion of Gaara being hit had first been considered impossible in their eyes, as well as all of Suna, but then Rock Lee disproved the notion in the Chunin exam prelims, when he nearly defeated the youngest of the Kazekage's children, and now the boy everyone thought didn't have a snowball's chance in hell had just shattered the very idea of Gaara being invincible no matter what in front of everyone. My blood! This is my blood! Screamed Gaara in disbelief, as he looked at the bleeding hole out of the corner of his eye, and then at Naruto with multiple emotions on his face. That it is. Now to finally put an end to this. Again, I am sorry, Gaara, said Naruto, as he pointed his finger at the redhead's forehead, and touched the tattoo with the kanji there for love. However, before Naruto could kill Gaara, an explosion was heard in the Kage booth, and feathers fell from the sky to indicate a genjutsu was being used. Naruto easily dispelled from his person before freeing Gaara from the light-based prison and decided to nip this situation in the bud. He needed to see the Hokage. In a flash, Naruto was gone from the arena floor, and on the roof where the Hokage was facing his former prodigal student. Seconds later, a barrier was up, preventing anyone from getting in, or out of the prison the 4 bodyguards of the Sannin had created. It was clear this plan Orochimaru had set in motion to trap the Sandaime Hokage like this had been taken years of planning, and could only been pulled off with inside help. Well, will you look at this, Sarutobi? We have an unexpected guest, said Orochimaru, as he was looking absolutely ecstatic at the idea of having Naruto on his side against the Sandaime Hokage, and Konoha in general. Naruto, you need to find a way out of here, said the Sandaime Hokage, as he saw the blonde smirk at him, and then look at Orochimaru with calculating eyes. We meet again, Orochimaru. Or rather for the first time without disguises, said Naruto, seeing Orochimaru continue to smirk at him. Indeed. The last I saw you, boy, it was in the forest of death, and you were swatted away like a fly, said Orochimaru while Naruto let out a chuckle of amusement. That? Please! What you saw, what you faced, and what you encountered was an illusion mixed with a shadow clone filled with a significant amount of Kyuubi's chakra to make it endure the trials and of the Chunin exams while I moved discreetly from the shadows, said Naruto, seeing Orochimaru frown and the Sandaime looking worried. So you do have control over the fox. Impressive. I had heard reports from my spies that you were a failure at the academy and barely controlled the Kyuubi's power while under a state of intense rage, said Orochimaru, seeing Naruto just chuckle louder. An illusion, Orochimaru. All that you know of me is just that, an illusion, said Naruto before training his head slightly to look at the Sandaime, who winced, and the Sannin just letting out a laugh. I imagine I'm not the only one that's been deceived. Oh sensei, I can practically see and feel the spite this boy has for you, said Orochimaru with joy singing clearly in his voice. Naruto, I don't know what side you've chosen in this fight, but the Leaf is your home, and should not be considered your enemy, said the Hokage, as he saw scoff and focus entirely on Orochimaru. Side? Don't be so dramatic. I am not on the side of the Leaf or Orochimaru's forces. I am on my side, said Naruto, seeing the Hokage frown, and so did Orochimaru. How disappointing. I was hoping I could turn him against the Hokage during our fight, thought Orochimaru, as he saw Naruto draw his Zanpakuto, and knew the boy was far more dangerous than anyone gave him credit for. Tell me, Orochimaru, before we begin this little dance of death, I would like to know just who was your inside man of influence remotely capable of providing information to you of Konoha's patrol routes, and current internal number of defenders within the village? Said Naruto, seeing the Sannin narrow his eyes at him, and the Sandaime's eyes widen, realizing that Orochimaru being in the Leaf could only have happened with someone from high on up within the village's infrastructure. As if I would give away my friend on the inside, said Orochimaru while Naruto just chuckled further. No. I suppose. You have some intelligence, it would seem, in not doing that, said Naruto while Orochimaru growled at him. Enough. It's time to put an end to this once and for all. Summoning, Edo-tensei, said Orochimaru, as he began the summoning process of raising 3 coffins from the ground while the Sandaime tried to block at least one of them. Bakudo number 4, Heinawa, said Naruto, who surprisingly didn't direct the binding spell at Orochimaru, but at the Sandaime Hokage, and gave the old man a cold look that told him to let the coffins rise. All 3 of the coffins. When the coffins came out of the down vertically, the lids to each one fell, and revealed that the bodies of the 3 past Hokage of the Leaf. However, within moments, the form of each one shattered within each coffin to reveal upon them collapsing to the ground to be just training dummy bodies. The Sandaime along with Orochimaru were surprised when the forbidden jutsu used had failed to produce the end result, and the reason behind it being even more shocking. Training dummy bodies used at the academy for the more advanced classes used to train hunter nin potentials on where to strike key points of the body. What? Impossible. I saw my pawns be subdued and put into their coffins myself, said Orochimaru, as he turned to Naruto, who freed the Sandaime from his power, and then refocused entirely on the Sannin. I told you before, Orochimaru, everything you know about me is an illusion, and while you were so busy preparing the Leaf's destruction I was preparing to counter it, said Naruto while thinking back to the memory of his encounter with the 2 Sound Genin before their capture. Flashback: Konoha Hospital. Naruto had used his Zanpakuto's powers to disguise himself as a simple doctor and sweet-talked a nurse that hated the Kyuubi Jinchuriki into letting him see the 2 for a checkup. After being let in, Naruto saw the girl, Atsuchi-kin, was unconscious, and the other one by the name of Zaku was awake. What's this? A doctor, who actually wants to help us. It's a fucking miracle, said Zaku sarcastically while the doctor just smiled a friendly smile before he vanished from sight, and then appeared with a sword in hand. No. Not help you. Kill you, said Naruto before stabbing the boy cleanly through the chest out the back of his body before pulling out. Quickly using one of his abilities to remove any trace of the body, Naruto had a shadow clone henge into the wounded boy on the bed, and his Zanpakuto further cast the illusion needed to fool the actual doctor or shinobi coming into the room. After that was done, the Kyuubi Jinchuriki focused on the girl now, who was just waking up, and saw Naruto with the Zanpakuto in hand. Please don't kill me. I'm sorry for what happened in the Forest of Death, said Kin, as her voice was filled with fear, and was trying to squirm away from Naruto despite being restrained to the bed. I know you are sorry, my dear, but like Orochimaru, I am in need of your services, and unfortunately for you the value of your life is only considered high upon it being taken away, said Naruto walking towards her bed. No! I'll run away and never return to the leaf. I swear it, said Kin, as she saw Naruto shake his head, and actually look sad. You are right about one thing, my dear, you will never return to the leaf, said Naruto before he killed her with a clean swipe of his Zanpakuto. After his work was done, Naruto left via the window, and no one was the wiser to what had happened. End flashback. The two shadow clones had alerted him some time later to when the shadowy figures came to the hospital and took them away to the rendezvous point where Orochimaru was waiting to put them in the coffins with the third person already chosen, most likely against his will. When the shadow clones were on the ground, Naruto easily switched them with the training dummy bodies, which pulled the illusion of the two sound genin basically losing the will to fight back, and the third man being slain killed with a simple silent snap of the neck before swapping him out too. You insignificant worm, said Orochimaru angrily. That's almost funny coming from the overgrown one I see before me, and would be if not for your pathetic fear of dying, said Naruto with amusement in his voice. Damn you, boy, said Orochimaru, as he drew Kusanagi from his mouth, and it glowed dangerously in his hands. I've heard worse insults, said Naruto while the Sandaime frowned at them. This is not the time to be casual about this, Naruto. His forces are attacking the leaf and need to be put down. Leave this fight to me, said the Sandaime, while Naruto just looked over at him for a second and then turned his gaze back over to Orochimaru. They've already been slain. Both forces have fallen, said Naruto with Orochimaru now looking shocked and angry at him. No! Impossible! Said Orochimaru while the Sandaime looked confused. Both? Said the Sandaime before hearing Naruto's amused chuckle. Suna chose to ally with Orochimaru in order to severely weaken the leaf with the desire to regain their former glory after learning Konoha's own alliance with them was bleeding their village dry. Something you had hand in when it came to the negotiations, isn't that right, Hokage-sama? Said Naruto while seeing the Sandaime grimace. Don't deny it, Sarutobi-sensei. The Kazekage didn't when voicing his displeasure to me on his reasons for joining my side. You helped make Konoha a big target. A fat pig that needed to be gutted, said Orochimaru, as he saw the Sandaime scowl, and then summon Enma the Monkey King before turning into a giant staff. As if you wouldn't in my place, said the Sandaime seeing Orochimaru smile at him. True. Still, I would have made sure such spiteful people in my alliances knew better than to cross me, and have special measures be put in place in the event they did. Something you did not. How else can you explain being caught unaware of Suna's betrayal? Or the Kyuubi Jinchuriki here not afraid to kill us both on this very roof? Said Orochimaru, as he saw Naruto's smirk grow, and the Sandaime scowl. Naruto wouldn't do that. I'm a grandfather to him. I always was, said the Sandaime while Naruto scoffed. A grandfather doesn't keep secrets, old man. You kept quite a few of them despite what my mother wanted. My godparents were denied the knowledge of my existence while at the same time, my status as a Jinchuriki was made known to the public, and I became the most hated person in the village. Why as my so-called grandfather would you do that? Said Naruto before turning fully to face the old Kage. Naruto, you must understand that not everything is that simple, and we must do what is right even if those that the decision wrongs are severely hurt by it, said the Sandaime, while the boy just looked at him with those eyes that held no warmth in them. There is nothing right about what you did, old man. All your actions caused was allow the village to channel all their hate and pain at one person. Me. You could have kept this information from the people and I could have lived a life without their hatred aimed at me, said Naruto seeing the Sandaime scowl further at him. It had to be done, Naruto. The people could not have their hatred consume them from within. They needed an outlet, said the Sandaime before seeing the boy looking angry at his choice of words. So that's it? That's your reason? You did it for them? The fools here in the village may regard you as something great, but we both know that was a long time ago, and that you are nothing more than a spineless old fool, said Naruto before a sword pierced his back. Looked down to see it was the Kusanagi with Orochimaru's hands on the hilt. You should know better than to take your eyes off a snake, little boy, said Orochimaru with Naruto turning his head slightly and looked at him. Shatter, Kyoka Suigetsu, said Naruto with his form shattering into 100 pieces like glass and his Zanpakuto sticking out behind Orochimaru through his skull. Orochimaru-sama, said the 4 bodyguards at the same time in shock. When killing a snake, one should always stab the head and kill the brain altogether. I find that is a much safer way of doing things, said Naruto before pulling the blade of his weapon out, and the form of Orochimaru fell to the ground. Dead. Run, said the red-haired girl, as the barrier went down, and the Sound 4 took off before they could be pursued by the ANBU. And now to deal with you, old man, said Naruto coldly while turning around to face the Sandaime, but was now surrounded by ANBU, and their weapons were drawn. Demon traitor, said the ANBU captain with a bird mask on. Says one of the shinobi, who won't honor the Yandaime's dying wish, and treat me like a hero for holding the Kyuubi inside my body, said Naruto, making the ANBU captain bristle with anger. How dare you mention the Yondaime Hokage? Said the ANBU captain, who moved to take the boy down, and the others following. No! Stop! Said the Sandaime, but they failed to listen, and Naruto just smirked at them. Heido number 58, Tenran! Said Naruto before spinning his extended right hand, unleashing a widening tornado that sent the ANBU flying while the Sandaime struggled to keep his feet on the roof. Naruto, I'm sorry you hate me, but you must understand that everything I've ever done has been for the benefit of the village, and I took no pleasure in your suffering, said the Sandaime Hokage, seeing the boy frown. Bakudo number 63, Seijo Sabaku. Said Naruto, making golden rope wrap around the Sandaime in an instant, while Enma was let go in the process, and the Monkey King transformed into his normal animal form. Release Sarutobi, you little brat. Said Enma, only to be stabbed in the stomach by the Zanpakuto and was sent back injured to the summoning world. Now old man, you and I are going to talk, said Naruto before grabbing the old man by the throat and squeezed hard. Naruto! Release sensei right now, said Jiraiya, as he wasn't sure what happened to the boy, but it was not something the Sannin liked, and it was making him uneasy. Why? He deprived me of a life. Did you know the man lied to you and my godmother Tsunade? That the two of you were meant to raise me after the death of my parents? Said Naruto, seeing Jiraiya not look the least bit surprised. I knew. It wasn't hard to figure out. Within a few months we had been lied to by sensei, said Jiraiya, seeing Naruto's eyes narrow at him. And yet you didn't fight him over my situation. Why? Said Naruto, seeing the Sannin look away. Because sensei was right in me not being able to take care of you. I had a spy network to run, maintain, and make sure the leaf was protected, said Jiraiya, seeing Naruto's grip on the old man not lessen in the slightest. And my godmother? Why not tell her about the lie? Said Naruto simply. What? Said Jiraiya before his face went pale when the boy's Zanpakuto stabbed the old Kage in the stomach. This isn't a lethal strike, but it will be if he doesn't get medical treatment right away, and unless you give me an honest answer I'll stab him again for each lie you tell, said Naruto coldly. Alright. Alright. I didn't tell Tsunade because sensei made me promise not to tell her. He said she'd take you out of the village, and thus the plan to ensure your loyalty to the leaf would be ruined. That you would have more loyalty for her over the village because Tsunade would protect you from the village's hate, said Jiraiya while Naruto glared at him, and then the glare intensified when the boy looked at the Hokage. Die, old man. Heido number 4, Byakurai, said Naruto, as he stabbed the man first, put his right finger on the Sandaime's head, and unleashed a stream of lightning through it to cause a painful death. No! Yelled Jiraiya, as he saw the old Kage be released from the strange binding power Naruto used on him, and fell onto the rooftop dead. Time for me to go, said Naruto before he turned around to leave, but Jiraiya leaped in front of him, and did not look pleased. Don't move, Naruto. You are under arrest for the murder of the Sandaime Hokage, said Jiraiya while Naruto just smirked at him. My actions were justified. I killed a traitor to my family. A family you also betrayed as well, said Naruto, seeing Jiraiya flinch at his words. I am sorry for that, Naruto, but it doesn't excuse you from killing the Sandaime Hokage, said Jiraiya while Naruto smirked at him. And that is where our beliefs are different from one another, Erosenin, said Naruto before he was gone in a flash, and Jiraiya cursed under his breath. He failed to see two people smirking from their respective locations and vanishing from sight to meet up with the boy. Outside the village. Is it time, Naruto-sama? Said a feminine voice from a shadowy figure wearing a hunter-nin mask. Yes, Haku. Stage 1 is complete. Where are Anko and Hinata? Said Naruto before turning his head and saw the girls appear quickly a few feet from his right. We are here, Naruto-sama, said Hinata, as she had also thrown away her own illusion that Naruto had helped cast over the village, and seeing her being this weak shy girl, who lost to Niji badly in the Chunin exams, and had required a month to remotely recover from the damage her heart had sustained in the process. Naruto had approached her 2 years ago, appearing in an instant-like manner, which had scared the girl, and had to put a hand on her mouth to stop any kind of scream. She had been shy then, as the illusion past that time had made her out to be, but after Naruto had offered to train the Hyuga girl to get stronger, Hinata couldn't refuse, and during those 2 long years her loyalty shifted greatly from Konoha along with the Hyuga clan to Naruto within question. The form Niji had fought in the Chunin exam prelims was a shadow clone of Hinata, which Naruto cast an illusion using the power of his Zanpakuto so it would fool everyone, and thus began the Hyuga girl's secret training. While everyone in her clan demeaned the shadow clone, fooled by the power of Naruto's Zanpakuto, the real Hyuga Hinata was getting stronger, and learning to fighting with the gentle fist while using her flexibility to its fullest potential. How is Zabuza handling things in Whirlpool? Said Naruto when he turned to look at Haku. He hates the paperwork, said Haku with a smile appearing on her lips behind the mask. Of course he does, said Naruto with a smirk on his face. In the past 2 years, Naruto had been out of the village, gathering forces of his own in secret, and having them converge to Whirlpool, a place where the clans from Mist, who had escaped the purges, had fled to that location for safety, even encountering Zabuza and Haku during the recruiting process. When the two met Team 7 a few years later, on the incomplete bridge in Wave, the Konoha shinobi believed that Zabuza and Haku had been slain there. When everyone left after the burial, Naruto dispelled the illusion, and just smirked in amusement at the stupidity of his so-called team. Good. We can finally leave here. We have business to attend to in sound. Knowing Orochimaru, he will have a nice little treasure trove of people, and things we can take back to Whirlpool, said Naruto, smiling at them before they were gone in an instant. It will be interesting to see what the snake team has back home has stored there. Though we may want to hurry since my old sensei's but Buddy is most likely heading back there too, said Anko, as she had joined the Gaki around the same time Hinata did, but under different circumstances and reasons than the Hyuga girl. Naruto had found Anko being held down by a group of jounin, who had felt the only way she could repent for her sensei's betrayal in their eyes was through her body, and being their personal toy for the day. Anko didn't want to, but the jounin around her had already told the woman she didn't have a choice, and that the Hokage wasn't going to save her anymore. The leader of the group was so into his rant, he had no idea that while getting ready to take the woman against her will, Naruto had used the power of Kyoka Sujutsu, and fooled him into thinking she was helpless. When the leader had his pants around his ankles, it was then that Naruto struck, and dispelled the illusion of his side in control. In reality, the group of jounin around Anko had been slain brutally all around her, and the woman herself was free with a kunai in hand with a smirk on her face. The man soon had the world's most painful and cheapest way to have a sex change before being turned into a corpse, with Anko being a key spy for Naruto regarding certain parts of the Leaf's inner workings. Now with Orochimaru dead, the woman had no further need to stay in the village, and was going along with Naruto to Whirlpool like he promised. Oh, by the way, Anko, I took this from Orochimaru since he won't be needing it, and felt it should go to you, said Naruto, as he threw Kusanagi underhanded to Anko, and saw the woman catch it while examining the weapon. With a sword like this, a new name is warranted, and I think I know just the name, said Anko, seeing Naruto raise an eyebrow at her. What's the name? Said Naruto, seeing Anko smirk at him, and then at the weapon. I'll call this sword Shinso, said Anko, while Naruto nodded and the group quickly left the area. For years ago, 8-year-old Naruto found himself in a dark place that was dank, wet, full of pipes, and basically looked like a sewer. It didn't make sense to Naruto, as one moment he was in the Hokage's office, and the next he was here in this crappy place. Welcome, Kit. You're here sooner than expected, said the demonic voice of the Kyuubi behind the cage that represented the Yandame's seal. Kyuubi? Said Naruto, seeing the fox grin and nod. You're actually smart? Ha! Those fools think you are an idiot, but I know better, and have cast an illusion over them. Then again, it was only fair considering the one they tried to cast on you from the start, and be their little puppet, said Kyuubi, seeing Naruto scowl at the remembrance of the letter he found. Why am I here? I remember touching the sword on the desk and now I'm here talking to you, said Naruto, seeing the fox grin further. Indeed. While I wish to take credit for this, the real sneak is the being over there, and he has quite a story to tell, said Kyuubi, seeing the shadowy figure to Naruto's left. Greetings, young one. We have much to discuss, you and I, said a voice of the figure, which was sounded clear like water, and smoother than the finest silk. Thus began the beginning of Naruto's training under Kyoka Sujutsu. The Zanpakuto was ruthless when he trained the boy once they managed to fool the Hokage upon the third Hokage's return, as the old Kage had returned to find the boy unconscious in his office holding a strange sword in hand from the scroll of sealing, but the boy awakened before removing it from Naruto's hands, and cast the illusion over the man when the Uzumaki had shown off the Zanpakuto like Kyoka Sujutsu had suggested he do in order to put a successful illusion over the old man. When they trained in secret, the Zanpakuto had taught Naruto in his head first before Blonde tested his powers out in the real world, and even an illusionary copy of Aizen himself was used. Naruto had slowly cast the illusion Kyoka Sujutsu he wished to fool others with one day at a time, and it wasn't easy either since the village had so many people. He had to alternate between casting it on groups one day to individual people unsuspecting of what he had planned. Present day, the sudden death of the Sandaime Hokage had sent the village into an uproar, as it had been put on lockdown, and sadly the clients along with the daimyos had to stay in the Leaf until things could be figured out further. The fire daimyo had made Jiraiya of the Sannin temporary Hokage, who then called a meeting with the councils, the clan heads, and the fire daimyo himself attending. I'll get right to the point. The Sandaime Hokage has been killed, and surprising, the culprit in this act was not Orochimaru. It was Uzumaki Naruto, said Jiraiya before the room had exploded with shouting, arguing, and divided talk among them all on how to deal with the boy. That demon brat, said one person. He should have been killed right after the sealing, said another person sitting next to the other. Silence, yelled Jiraiya, as his voice ended the bickering and arguing over this. But Jiraiya-sama, the boy is dangerous, and needs to be killed before he gets too far from Konoha, said Hamura, as the temporary 5th Hokage shook his head and looked at the daimyo now. Daimyo-sama, it is my opinion that an ANBU team be sent out, but not to find Naruto, as he will surely slice them to pieces, and weaken us even further, said Jiraiya, seeing the feudal lord fanning himself and looking at him with interest. Then who are you searching for with the ANBU? Said the fire daimyo curiously. Senju Tsunade. She's the only one worthy of sitting in this chair and acting as Hokage. It's in her blood, said Jiraiya, with the fire daimyo considering it. True, But what will you do should that happen? Said the fire daimyo with Jiraiya's face becoming grim. I'm going to find, defeat, and if necessary kill Uzumaki Naruto, said Jiraiya, seeing most of the people in the room looking happy with that news. If I may speak up about something and have the floor for the moment? Said Shibi, as he raised a hand, and the fire daimyo turned his attention to the Aburame. Yes, Aburame-san? Said the fire daimyo, focusing on the clan head. It has come to the attention of my son through one of his bugs that his teammate Hyuga Hinata is missing, said Shibi with Hayashi go pale. How do you know this? Said Hayashi, seeing the Aburame clan head to look over at him for a second. My son told me using one of his insects. From what the insect has informed me, Hinata's form simply shattered like glass, and went up in smoke, said Aburame, seeing Hayashi's eyes widen in surprise. It's a shadow clone. Somewhere along the line, Naruto must have taught it to Hinata, and this means she has joined him too, said Jiraiya, seeing Hayashi was in denial. No! She wouldn't. Her loyalty is to Konoha and the Hyuga clan, said Hayashi, as his heart was gripped with fear, and knew the clan would too with their bloodline out there in the elemental countries with the Kyuubi Jinchuriki. No disrespect, Hayashi, but the girl can't get enough of the Uzumaki pup, and if they have been interacting with each other in a way we couldn't have seen for Kami knows how long, well, it's pretty clear that the girl is not the weak shy thing I've seen around town, said Tsum with Hayashi gritting his teeth. We need to do a head count of all Leaf Shinobi in the village to see if anyone else is missing. We'll begin with the ANBU and work our way down to the Genin along with their senseis, said Jiraiya, knowing a head count would be needed of all shinobi forces. Once enough ANBU have been recruited, we'll dispatch a team to find Tsunade, and convince her to become the new Hokage, said Hamura, seeing everyone nod in full agreement with that. Very well, I approve of each objective, except for one thing, and that is killing Uzumaki Naruto should he be defeated. I want him brought back here alive and I wish to talk to him in person, said the fire daimyo, which shocked the people in the room, and the fact the feudal lord would make such a request. But why daimyo-sama? Said Koharu, as she saw the man scoff, and stand up before heading to the door. You think I am unaware of what is going on in this village? I have spies too. While the shinobi here in this village serve the one sitting the Hokage's chair with the title, they also serve me, and I have heard quite enough from them along with you to know this boy deserves far more in life than was given. I heard the stories behind the abuse Jinchuriki take for being made into weapons and treated like they are trash while expected to be loyal no matter what. I thought they were just stories my father told me to ensure that I didn't become like people here in this village, but now I realize my father's stories were not stories at all, and was a fool to trust the late Sandaime Hokage with the boy's life. I want to hear from the boy's own lips about his life here in Konoha and why he killed the Sandaime Hokage, said the fire daimyo, with the councils protesting and begging him to reconsider such a decision before the feudal lord left the room, ignoring them. Rice country. So this is sound, huh? It doesn't look like much, said Anko while seeing what seemed to be a small village. Looks can be deceiving, Anko. Hinata, would you use your wonderful eyes please, said Naruto, making the girl blush slightly, but she quickly regained focus, and used her eyes to look at the ground below. There is an underground complex beneath us filled with sound shinobi, said Hinata, as she saw the various chakra signatures below them, some being higher than others, and none of them seemed to be on high alert yet, meaning Kabuto and the Sound Four had yet to return. And that is where we go. Stay sharp, said Naruto, as they walked into the village, and the boy thought back to the night Mizuki had tricked him into stealing the Forbidden Scroll a few short months ago. Flashback. Mizuki saw Iruka pinned to a tree, Naruto on the ground, holding the Forbidden Scroll of Sealing, a look of horror and fear etched upon his whiskered face. The blonde's mind unable to comprehend why Mizuki did what he did to Iruka, and yet the man did not care, with every intention of making matters worse for the young Uzumaki. Don't you get it? You are the Kyuubi no Kitsune, said Mizuki with glee in his voice and on his face at revealing the secret of behind Naruto's abuse. Run, Naruto, said Iruka while Mizuki just laughed. Yes. Run, Naruto. Run away with the scroll and give the people in Konoha an excuse to hunt you down, said Mizuki with cruel laughter following. Before Naruto's face went from being terrified to that of a confident smirking individual in control of this problematic situation. Shatter, Kyoka Suigetsu, said Naruto before his form shattered into glass. Iruka was revealed to be on the ground unconscious, but alive with injuries all the same, and the real Naruto standing right behind Mizuki. What the? Said Mizuki before Naruto sliced his head off. What a foolish little man you were, said Naruto simply before sensing Leaf Shinobi heading his way and left a shadow clone to put on the illusion of him being an idiot. End flashback. Kabuto frowned as he entered Sound Village with the Sound Four behind him, and found their instincts screaming at them to leave. The village below looked completely normal, showing no signs of being visited by anyone, and that is why this made them worry. The Jounin-level subordinate of the late Orochimaru could feel his instincts telling him the enemy was in fact here, but had gotten in undetected, and had yet to reveal themselves to him. Of course, Kabuto could send in the Sound Four, and play it off that he had business elsewhere above ground. Then again, any such command would raise red flags in each of their minds, since either of the four were stupid, and most likely suspect he was ordering them to their doom. That wouldn't sit very well. I don't like this, said Kidamaru, feeling his gut telling him something was off. I know what you mean. Ever since seeing that kid do whatever it is he did, I'd been feeling hesitant, and afraid that my next step will be my last, said Jirobo, as he had seen what that kid did, and it scared the hell out of him. What the fuck do you think we should do, huh? Sit around a campfire telling stories? Let's get the hell out of here before the shit hits the fan, said Tayuya, as she saw the others in agreement, but Kabuto was not, and his look at the four clearly stated it as such. I'm in charge here, Tayuya-san. If you don't go down there, said Kabuto, as he let the threat of disobeying him linger in the air, and the sound four looked at each other. Now, Kabuto-san, there is no need to threaten them. After all, they have every right to be terrified of their enemy, said Anko, as she appeared from the shadows, and a sickly sweet smile was now on her face. I didn't expect to see you here, Anko-san. Judging from your choice of words, if you are here, then the Kyuubi Jinchuriki is not that far behind too, and in the base below. Isn't he? Said Kabuto angrily, as he saw the woman looking at him with that deceptive smile on her face. Oh, Naruto-sama's around. He's actually been expecting you five for a while now. A bit sooner than expected, but that's no skin off his back, or mine for that matter, said Anko, as she saw them tense and look around for Naruto. If Naruto's expecting us, then where exactly is he? Said Kabuto, seeing Anko's smile widen slightly. As I said, he's around, said Anko while smirking at him. He's here. Hiding in the shadows, said Kidamaru, as he looked around for Naruto, and anyone else that may have joined up with him. Now you're guessing. I thought my old sensei taught you better than that, said Anko, as her grin stayed positively evil-looking, and making the sound four very nervous. Is it possible to switch sides and join the Jinchuriki? Said Jirobo, who got a glare aimed at him by Kabuto, and knew the only reason the medic Nin didn't kill him now was due to the enemy in front. Maybe. It all depends on what you bring to the table, said Anko while Kabuto focused his gaze on her once more. Our skills and loyalty, said Jirobo before being slugged by Sakan. Shut your mouth. I'm not swearing loyalty to that kid, said Sakan before turning to his face to see Anko's grin increase before pulling out her sword that Naruto had given her. Shoot to kill, Shinso, said Anko, as she thrust the weapon forward, and surprised the five shinobi when the blade's length extended before piercing the Sakan's body with the tip of the sword, splitting the tree behind the sound shinobi on impact. Sakan! Yukon! Said Kidamaru, as the blade went through one brother, and in the process killed the other brother hidden behind him. Oops. I didn't know there was two of them connected to one body. Oh dear, said Anko, as she retracted the length of her blade, and yet the woman's smile never left. You bitch! Said Kabuto while the sound of someone chuckling in amusement was heard to his left. It's almost amusing, isn't it, Anko-san? Kabuto actually sounding like he cares about them when we both know our enemy was going to send them all down below to be slaughtered while escaping, said Naruto, who saw the remaining members of the Sound Four glaring at Kabuto, and the man glaring at him. I'm going to enjoy killing and studying your corpse, boy, said Kabuto, as he prepared to move against the Kyuubi Jinchuriki using his chakra scalpels, and Naruto just smirked at him. Unlikely. Bakudo number 4, Hainawa, said Naruto, as he launched an energy-like rope from his hand, and it wrapped around Kabuto's body. Don't just stand there. Kill him, said Kabuto, as he saw Naruto focus on the now Sound 3, and waited for them to attack. They did nothing. Choose right now. Kabuto or myself. Be mindful that in the next few seconds he will be dead, said Naruto while the three looked from him to Kabuto and moved away from the latter. Traitors! You will pay for this outrage, said Kabuto before his head was quickly sliced off with Naruto's Zanpakuto. Hardly. Since you three are now on my side, I hope my belief that your loyalty to me is unquestionable hasn't been misplaced, and plans to do otherwise are being formed when I'm not around, said Naruto seeing the three shake their heads. I have the person we need, Naruto-sama, said Hinata, as she appeared with the sealing scroll in hand, and Naruto smiled at her. Excellent. Let's go then, said Naruto walking away with the everyone following his lead. Where the fuck are we going? Said Tayuya, though her voice was much softer than the usual harsh tone she had when speaking despite the swearing. To find my long-lost godmother Senju Tsunade. I have patience that requires her utmost attention, said Naruto seeing the shock on them with the exception of Hinata. I didn't know your godmother is Senju Tsunade, said Anko walking beside him. Neither does Tsunade, said Naruto with his smile never leaving. Making a hand sign, Hinata activated the explosive tags placed in the underground base that was Sound, and blew it to pieces. No one looked back. Konoha weeks later. I have a lead on Naruto, said Jiraiya seeing Kakashi at the bar with Kurenai, Asuma, and Guy talking about what had happened at the Chunin exam finals. Really? Where? Said Kurenai, as she found her student missing, and feared for Hinata's safety when near the Kyuubi Jinchuriki. He's still in Fire Country, but at the same time the group traveling with him is also near where my spies are tracking Tsunade, and I suspect Naruto's heading out to meet her, said Jiraiya while the other grimaced at that news. Why? Said Kurenai curiously. Because Tsunade is his godmother. The Sandaime lied to her the night Kyuubi attacked and told Tsunade that Naruto died the night of the sealing. It was done so she wouldn't take Naruto out of the village and keep the boy here, said Jiraiya seeing them looking at him with shocked faces. Naruto's not going to kill Tsunade-sama, is he? Said Guy with worry. No. He knows she didn't know about him and was lied to by the Sandaime. If anything, Naruto will try to recruit Tsunade to his side before we can get her back to Konoha and become the new Hokage, said Jiraiya, seeing the group looking worried about that. When do we move out? Said Kakashi, seeing Jiraiya shake his head. I can't let you, Kakashi. I need you here to train the Uchiha and figure out some way to counter the abilities we know Naruto possesses, said Jiraiya, as he had seen some of the strange powers Naruto used against Neji, Gaara, and the Sandaime Hokage. What about us? I want to get Hinata and Anko back, said Kurenai, knowing her student and dear friend just had to be suffering while under Naruto's control. You, your team, and Guy's team will be assisting me on this mission. I need tracking and combat group to help with this mission, said Jiraiya, seeing the two nod. What about me and my team? Said Asuma, with Jiraiya shaking his head. No offense, Asuma, but your team is weak and needs more training before I even think to consider them to track down Naruto, said Jiraiya, seeing Asuma slump his head in defeat. At least take Shikamaru with you. He can analyze Naruto's actions and strategize on how to defeat him, said Asuma, seeing Jiraiya consider it. Okay. Everyone is to meet me at the North Gate in an hour, said Jiraiya, seeing them nod and head out before doing the same with Naruto. So why do you need to see Senju Tsunade? I mean, aside from telling her that she's your godmother, said Kidamaru curiously. Like I mentioned earlier, there are 2 patients in my possession who require medical treatment, and only someone of Tsunade's skills can save them both, said Naruto, seeing the city in front of them. Who are they? Said Jiroba, with his own curiosity now showing. Kage Kimimaro and Tsuchikin, said Naruto, much to the shock of the group. Kimimaro? But his illness is incurable, said Kidamaru, while Tayuya was shocked over the latter of the 2 names Naruto mentioned. Kin? But she was used as a sacrifice. We fucking saw her, said Tayuya, as she had been against it, but Orochimaru's command was law, and had not choice except seeing it happen, and yet the forbidden jutsu Orochimaru used was a failure. Even Kin herself believes I killed her when in fact, my skills with the blade put Kin close to it, and only Tsunade's can save the girl now, said Naruto, as the group entered the city where Tsunade was rumored to be in the area, and went to the nearest area with a bar. Do you know what Tsunade looks like? Said Kidamaru while looking around and using one of his 4 hands to scratch his head. Baka! Orochimaru fucking talked about her, and the bitch's appearance should we have to find her. Just look for some old blonde hag with big tits and likes to drink when she's not gambling money away, said Tayuya, which got her an empty sake bottle to the face by an angry patron. Who are you calling an old blonde hag, you red-haired slut? Said a blonde busted woman about 5 rows in front of them with a look of being slightly inebriated. Who are you calling a red-haired slut, you fucking dried-up cunt? Said Tayuya, angrily fired back while ignoring the shards of the sake bottle on her face. Come here and try saying that to my face, said the woman while pounding her fist on the table, and the woman next to her trying to calm the blonde down. I would, but you'd probably be dead from old age by the time I got there, said Tayuya, seeing the woman get even redder in the face. What did you say? Said the woman while Tayuya looked just as angry. Enough. I did not travel all this way just for you two to have a feminine pissing contest. I came here to speak to Tsunade in a civilized manner. You're making that very difficult, Tayuya, said Naruto in a serious voice, which made the red-haired girl go pale and take a step back in fear of being killed by him. That's her? Doesn't look like much, whispered Jirobo to Kidamaru, who elbowed him and told the fat man to shut up. Orochimaru was always cautious of Tsunade and the risk of facing her wrath. There is a reason for that, said Anko, as she remembered that much of her late sensei, and made the former bodyguards of Orochimaru nod, realize appearance could be deceiving. So what do you need to see me for, brat? Said Tsunade, as she sat back down, glared at the red-haired girl, who Naruto motioned to sit elsewhere with the others, and waited for the blonde Uzumaki to sit down across from the Busta Sannin. I require your medical skills to heal 2 people. Well, heal one of her injuries and cure another of his illness, said Naruto, seeing Tsunade raise an eyebrow at him. I'm off the clock and a bit drunk at the moment. Come back tomorrow, said Tsunade, as she moved to drink another cup of sake, but Naruto quickly took it out of her hands and crushed it. I'm not giving you a choice. The injury the girl has suffered is quite lethal if left alone, and to ignore it would violate a certain oath you took in being a doctor, said Naruto while the woman glared at him for doing that. I do have a choice, actually. Shizen can heal the girl. She's my student and has the skills to heal your friend, said Tsunade while Naruto scowled at her. No. I want you to do it. I know you have the medical skills to purge alcohol from your system. Do not presume I am some naive fool, who will simply bow to your whims on when and when not to bring a patient in need of medical attention to your doorstep, said Naruto while Tsunade narrowed her eyes at him. And how would you even know anything about me, brat? I've had stalkers in the past, but none of them were your age, and it's a bit creepy, said Tsunade while Naruto smirked and Hinata next to him scowled. Don't flatter yourself, Tsunade. You're not my type. Besides, I have no intention of being involved with my godmother anytime soon, and like you just said, it's a bit creepy, said Naruto, seeing Tsunade look shocked. Godmother? To you? Since when? Said Tsunade while recalling being the godmother to one person, but was told by the Sandaime the child died during the sealing, and yet a part of her always questioned that given just whom the mother was of that child. Since the day Kyuubi attacked Konoha all those years. Since the day my mother brought me into this world and sealed the fox into me. Ring any bells now? Said Naruto, seeing the woman frown and quickly reach over and grab him by the throat before pulling him close to look the boy dead in the eyes. Hyuga Hinata was on her feet in an instant, the girl's own sword pointed at the Sanin's throat, and Byakugan eyes active with the intent of striking the woman down should she hurt Naruto. However, the smirking blonde simply raised a finger, which slowly touched the Hyuga's weapon, and gently moved it away from Tsunade's jugular. My godson is dead, said Tsunade while not taking her eyes off of Naruto. According to whom? Said Naruto, seeing the woman narrow her eyes at him. My sensei. The Sandaime Hokage of the Leaf Village, said Tsunade, seeing the blonde-haired boy smirk at her. Correction. The late Sandaime Hokage of the Leaf Village, said Naruto, seeing her eyes widen in shock and then narrow in suspicion. You're lying, said Tsunade, seeing Naruto's face never waver under her gaze. I killed him myself just like I did Orochimaru, said Naruto, seeing the woman's eyes show a mixture of shock and anger. I'm going to kick your ass, said Tsunade in a whispery voice while Naruto just smirked further. Before you continue that line of thought in hurting me, there is a story you need to hear, and it is connection to your precious Sandaime Hokage, said Tsunade, seeing the woman narrow her eyes at him. You have exactly 5 minutes, and if I don't like what I hear, your ass belongs to me, said Tsunade before letting go of him and sitting back down. After what I have to tell you about the Sandaime, I highly doubt it, said Naruto before the two began talking, and Hinata sat back down, though she not going to let Tsunade hurt him. A few weeks later. How long before both Kin and Kimimaro are well enough to travel with me? As you can imagine, I am quite the marked man in Konoha right now after what I did there during the Chunin exam finals, said Naruto, walking with Tsunade through the street to a bar since Shizen was watching over the patients. A few more days. You know Kimimaro wasn't exactly pleased to know the team he had for a master was dead, right? Said Tsunade, seeing him nod. Of course. He tried to kill me then, and there despite being sedated. Kin was completely afraid of you, said Tsunade, seeing the boy's face never stop having that smirk on his face. Considering what I did, her reaction is not without merit, and Tayuya was most helpful in calming Kin down, said Naruto, knowing the two were close, and it was only because Kin trusted Tayuya that the girl didn't flee. That she was. The girl reminds me of your mother when she was a little girl except for the swearing, said Tsunade, with Naruto smirking further at hearing that piece of info. I'll have to ask her about my mother, and what she was like later in the future, thought Naruto, as Tsunade walked away from him to go into the bar to drink, and while the boy was an adult for being a shinobi, it was not his style. He personally preferred tea. Naruto, said Jiraiya, as he appeared in the middle of the street, and glaring at the blonde before him. Ah, my godfather. How nice of you to come see me here, said Naruto with a smile on his face that told otherwise. Cut the crap, Naruto. I know you've been looking for Tsunade. You've almost found my old teammate if not already, and I can't let you poison her mind with lies, said Jiraiya, as Naruto drew his Zanpakuto. But Guy along with Kurenai appeared in a flash with their hands on his sword arm, and kunai at his throat. Where is Hinata and Anko? Said Kurenai in a deadly whispered tone. Why? You never cared about them. All you saw with Hinata was a shy and timid girl from an abusive family that brought out maternal instincts. Not once did you try to bring out the strong, powerful Hinata that I know. As for Anko, you knew how she was treated by the villagers, and not once did you stick up for her when the woman wasn't around. I am surprised Guy is here. Come to avenge your student's defeat by my hands during the Chunin exam finals? Said Naruto, seeing Guy shake his head while Kurenai looked livid. No. I need to ask Tsunade-sama to come back to the Leaf to become its Hokage and to heal my student Lee of his injuries, said Guy with Naruto smirking further. Really? While I'm sure she has no problem healing of your student, I highly doubt my godmother will want to be Hokage, and even less since she now knows the truth hidden from her by the Sandaime, said Naruto while Jiraiya scowled. So you've been in contact with her, said Jiraiya fearfully. Yes. I have. At first, she was angry that I killed the Sandaime, being her sensei, and all that emotional garbage. But that changed when I told her what he did, and how the man allowed my abusers to get away with their crimes with minimal punishment, said Naruto, seeing Jiraiya scowl at him. It had to be done, Naruto, said Jiraiya, seeing the boy just looking him dead in the eyes with that predator smirk on his face. Says a man who was never attacked by a mob that tried to cut you up with broken sake bottles, and tried to rip your guts out while laughing. Of course, it was a shadow clone they tried it on, but the memories from it are still there, and I know the faces that did it too, said Naruto, as he saw Jiraiya grimace, and Guy flinched since he was the one to stop that particular attack. I'm sorry that happened, Naruto, but you needed to be humble, and feel grateful for being alive every single dead, said Jiraiya, seeing Naruto raise an eyebrow at him. By putting me through hell? Why not let me live a normal childhood without the need for all the animosity? Why not keep it hidden from the village and let me enjoy life there without the necessary fear of being killed at any moment for something that I had no say in? Said Naruto, seeing Jiraiya not answer him right away. It's the way things were done in the past with Jinchuriki, said Jiraiya finally, while a scowl now formed on Naruto's face. Not with my mother it didn't. Nor with the Kyuubi Jinchuriki before her, from what I learned when I read the journal she left behind, said Naruto, as he saw Jiraiya's eyes widen in surprise, and so did the others. Kushina's journal? How did you get that? Said Jiraiya, seeing the smirk on Naruto's face return. Oh, I imagine you were looking for it along with everyone do so too. No doubt looking for a way to better understand seals to make yourself better at using them? You are just like the Uchiha and their damned Sharingan. Always taking what doesn't belong to you and robbing others of them. Such a pathetic man you are in my eyes, said Naruto, seeing the Sannin scowl in anger. I needed to know Kushina's way of sealing because it could have helped with your seal and keep the QB contained better, said Jiraiya while Naruto scoffed. I hate being around liars, said Naruto while Jiraiya scowled further at him. Regardless, we are taking you back to Konoha to face the charges of killing its Hokage and betraying the leaf, said Jiraiya before hearing Naruto chuckle with amusement. As if you have the power, stop me, said Naruto with Jiraiya pulling out various strips of papers with seals on them. I don't know if you're using QB's powers or not. Personally, I'd rather not take the chance and have to take certain steps in changing your mind. With the fox's power temporarily suppressed, Inoichi can dive into your head and turn you into a blank slate, said Jiraiya, seeing Naruto looking amused. And my godmother? How are you going to explain it to her? If she becomes Hokage, then I will be under her direct command, and I know the woman won't let you do every little thing planned in that head of yours, said Naruto, seeing Jiraiya shrug. I'll deal with her when the time comes, said Jiraiya, as he was about to put the seals on Naruto, but was struck on the side of his face by a punch from Tsunade herself, and boy did the woman look pissed off. How about you deal with me now, you backstabbing pervert? Said Tsunade before she glared at the two jounin on each side of Naruto. If you want to live, I would suggest letting go of me, and taking a few steps back, said Naruto with the two jounin doing just that. Now my old teammate, care to explain why you helped keep the liar sensei told me about my godson being dead from being exposed, and protect him from harm? Said Tsunade, as she was slowly stomping her way over to the downed Sannin, and he slowly got up from the ground before finding his face inches from hers. It was for the good of the village, Tsunade. You think Naruto's the only Jinchuriki who has suffered at the hands of their village, and put up with it. Suna's done it, Iwa's done it with their too, and even Taki with the Biju they got as a gift from your own grandfather when they created their own Jinchuriki, said Jiraiya before he was pulled an inch closer to Tsunade's already seething face. And what about Kushina? My grandmother? They weren't treated like that or turned into mindless weapons. Naruto could have been treated the same way, and I could have been there to ensure that, said Tsunade, seeing Jiraiya shake his head. No, it wasn't your call. It was the Hokage's, and he felt the best way to handle it was for you to be out of the picture. We both knew you'd take off with Naruto at the first sign of him being abused or the memories of the village becoming too powerful to handle. Like it or not, Tsunade, the village's survival comes first over what you, Naruto, and even what Minato wanted before his death, said Jiraiya, seeing the woman's eyes flash with anger on a level he couldn't even fathom. Oh my! Such a pathetic way of thinking. What is it about men in power seeking to make others suffer in order to gain more of it? Said Anko, as she along with Hinata were now heading their way while being several feet behind Naruto. It's pathetic, really. Even more with their subordinates not thinking for themselves when they know such a way of thinking is wrong, said Hinata coldly while she stared at her shocked sensei. Anko? Hinata? Said Kurenai while looking at Hinata's attire, and just couldn't believe this was the same shy student who fainted within 10 feet of Naruto. You seem surprised, Kure-chan. Though given how we're serving Naruto loyally of our own free will has that effect on people these days, said Anko, as she continued to smile at the shocked Leaf Shinobi, and Hinata just scowled further. It's a trick. It has to be some kind of genjutsu, said Kurenai, as she tried to break it, but found that there wasn't one, and realized that these two individuals close to her heart had in fact left Konoha of their own free will to follow Naruto. Sorry, Kure-chan. What you see is what you get. I wanted to tell you, but Naruto felt your loyalties would lean more towards the Hokage, and ruin things for all of us, said Anko, as she had asked Naruto if Kurenai could be brought into the fold, and the lost son of the Yondaime Hokage had told her no. The Sandaime Hokage trusted you, Anko. How could you betray him after he defended you from every naysayer for Naruto? Said Kurenai with her anger rising with each passing second. He didn't defend shit. That old fart just made himself out to be my defender just like he did Naruto-sama. Who do you think ordered those bastards to harass me in my earlier years being reintegrated back into the Leaf? The Sandaime did, said Anko with a scowl on her face. That can't be possible, said Kurenai while Guy himself couldn't believe it. Oh, but it is Yuhi Kurenai. The Sandaime Hokage was guilty of many things and those that he wasn't were allowed to happen in return for future favors when called upon, said Naruto, seeing the Leaf Kunoichi glare at him. The Sandaime Hokage was a great man, said Kurenai defiantly. At one point in his life perhaps the Sandaime was a great man. However, as he got older, the man became more of a politician, and thus lacked the spine to do his job properly like my father did. The man I killed was the Sandaime Hokage, Kami of Shinobi, but rather a shadow of his former self, and I felt it was my duty to put that weak old man out of his misery, said Naruto, as he saw Kurenai looking at him with intense and anger before she moved to take his head off with the kunai in hand, only for Hinata to get in her path, block the attacking arm of Kurenai, and had her sword out pointing at the woman's throat. "Sting all enemies to death, Suzumabachi," said Hinata, as her sword changed to that of a stinger-based weapon that was now attached to her right hand, and it was clear that this was unexpected. "What the?" said Kurenai while Anko had moved quickly behind Guy and had her blade pointed at his back. "Surprised? You didn't think the whole time Hinata spent secretly training with me was just to improve her taijutsu and confidence, did you? I helped turn Hinata's sword into a Zanpakuto by channeling my power through her into the weapon to create an extension of herself," said Naruto, seeing Kurenai looking stunned by this. "And it goes perfectly well with her fighting style. A quick, ruthless, and deadly little thing all wrapped up in that hand of hers." "Truly amazing," said Anko with Naruto still smirking at Kurenai. "Yes. I did the same to your weapon. I took off Orochimaru before handing it over to you, Anko." "Fair is fair after all," said Naruto with Kurenai going pale and now looking where Anko was with her sword ready to pierce Guy at a moment's notice right through his spine. "As much as this information is enlightening, we're getting off track, and I still have to deal with this bastard I was once proud to call my teammate," said Tsunade, seeing the man in front of her grimace. "We need you, Tsunade. Konoha needs you. Just think about it for a second. The moment you become Hokage, things can change, and I'm betting the Fire Daimyo will grant the Gaki a full pardon if we bring him back with the others," said Jiraiya while Tsunade's eyes narrowed at him. "Do you really think I am that stupid, Jiraiya? That I'll just walk back into the village with my godson, his friends behind him, and expect there not to be any kind of surprise move made by the shinobi there? They all believe that the Sandaime Hokage was a saint, who protected them from harm, but we both know that's not true, and was turned into a martyr to rally behind to kill Naruto," said Tsunade, seeing Jiraiya look away from her. "Ignore him for now, Tsunade. We have more important matters at the moment," said Naruto, hearing Tsunade growl in frustration. "You're so lucky that he's right about that, Jiraiya. I don't care about being Hokage, and I certainly don't care about its shinobi any more than they cared about my godson when he was growing up without me. You go back to those idiots in the village and tell them they can shove the offer up their ass. My loyalty is to what is left of my family." "A family they betrayed," said Tsunade, seeing the Sannin frown in confusion before his eyes went wide. "You are part Uzumaki on your grandmother's side," said Jiraiya, seeing Tsunade smirk at him. "Damn right I am. Naruto is possibly the last Uzumaki in the whole world. All I have left of my grandmother's side, and I'll be damned if I let those assholes in the Leaf rob me of what I have left for family," said Tsunade, seeing Jiraiya look sad at her choice. "Your Sannin traveling rights will be revoked, Tsunade. You will be marked down as a missing nin like Orochimaru was," said Jiraiya, seeing the anger in Tsunade grow in her eyes. "I know that, Jiraiya, and I say bring out every single hunter nin the Leaf has. I won't hesitate to send them back to Konoha in pieces," said Tsunade before she slugged him and sent Jiraiya out of the village with her super strength. "Tell your individual genin and Shikamaru that if they try to interfere in your place I will have to kill them," said Naruto, though his voice sounded sad for a brief moment. "You wouldn't," said Kurenai, seeing Naruto's sad eyes become hardened and they looked right back at her. "If push comes to shove," said Naruto, seeing the two jounin not wanting to have their genin cut down by him. "There is no need to worry about them, Naruto-sama. I knocked them all out before my arrival. They never saw me coming," said Hinata, as she had dispatched them with ease, and found a great deal of pleasure in knocking down her surprised cousin. "I would have helped too, but Hinata was just so fast, and she beat them all down before I could draw my blade. Pity, really. Shinso really wanted to kill someone today," said Anko while letting out a giggle, while that smile never left. "Thank you, Hinata." "Same to you, Anko. Let's get out of here. We have some preparations to make given this new development," said Naruto, seeing them nod, and they all began to walk away with while leaving the two Leaf jounin too stunned to move. "Not that far away, so that's the brat, huh? Interesting. What do you say, Itachi?" said Kisame, as he saw the Uchiha, who had slain so many of his own kin, just watch Naruto with his eyes, and it was clear that Itachi was not going to rush things. "Be on your guard, Kisame. Naruto is not alone like we had hoped," said Itachi, as he saw his partner grin and readjust his sword. "Yeah, but it sure make things interesting, and you know how I hate boring things," said Kisame while Itachi made a small noise indicating he knew about the Shark Man's ways of doing things. "Just be mindful when facing him, Kisame. Naruto did kill Orochimaru and the Sandaime Hokage if the rumors are in fact true," said Itachi while Kisame's smile widened. "I know. Though don't be surprised if I want to take off a limb here or there to get the job done," said Kisame while Itachi stayed silent. "It doesn't matter. All that matters is justice be done and brought down upon the guilty of this world." The sooner the better, thought Itachi, as he had always been a man who felt that justice must be delivered upon the wicked, and had followed that belief when killing members of his own clan that night several years ago. He didn't do it for Konoha, the Hokage, or even for himself, despite what he told Sasuke before putting his younger brother in that genjutsu. Itachi did it in the name of justice and smite those that would seek to evade it, like his own clan did regarding Uzumaki Kushina. Itachi had learned from his own mother before her death at his hands that she, along with her bastard of a husband, had sold out Kushina's location to Madara in the hopes that after the smoke cleared from the chaos, the Uchiha clan would rise to take what they felt was their rightful place in being the rulers of the new Konoha. Justice demanded they pay for this treachery, Yet Itachi knew he too would have to pay under his own principle, and thus had planned to have Sasuke kill him so a new Uchiha clan would rise from the ashes. However, Konoha had seen fit to poison the fruits of his labors with no help from Orochimaru's curse seal for a time, and now Sasuke was even worse off with the village wishing to help spoil his little brother rotten. Unacceptable. Now Itachi found himself wondering what to do in salvaging his plan since the original was beyond repair and a new one was now required. The question now was how? Konoha 4 years ago. You know what needs to be done, Itachi? Said the Sandaime Hokage, as he handed the Uchiha his assignment, and the young man nodded knowing it was going to be one of the most difficult assignments of his shinobi career. And the stipulations I asked for will be honored? Said Itachi seeing the Hokage nod. Yes. Sasuke will be allowed to live since he is an innocent child in the matter, and so will the others that survive. No one will know of the Uchiha's plans to rebel coming to light, said the Hokage while Itachi nodded and left the office with Danzo entering moments later. This is a dangerous game, Hiruzen, said Danzo since he knew of the deal the Hokage made with Itachi. It has to be done, Danzo. Or do you want the Uchiha to cause open rebellion and make Konoha look weak in the process? Said the Hokage with Danzo scowling. His younger brother must be kept an eye on. We need to ensure the boy's loyalty after this happens is absolute, said Danzo with the Hokage nodded. And he will be kept an eye on by our shinobi. After the Uchiha clan has been liquidated down to smaller, more controlled numbers, we will issue a special protocol where they will be given special treatment, and almost spoiled to the point that they could get in any other village. That they rely on the Leaf Village to give them what they want, and in time they will do anything to keep their high status. If they decide to one day rise higher to the point where they can be our equals, then we will have to simply coincidentally stumble upon damaging evidence, and make them fall from grace, said the Hokage with Danzo smirking at him. You assume your future successor will agree to this continued policy, said Danzo with Hiruzen smirking back. It's a secret requirement I'm initiating for all successors to the title of Hokage to accept, said the Hokage since he was going to set certain requirements for his successor aside from embracing the truth behind the Uchiha clan's fall and resurrection. And if they meet all your stipulations except this one? Said Danzo knowing that was always a possibility. Then they simply get sent on a simple mission to clear their head on the matter where by chance an accident happens and they die while taking the secrets they know to their grave, said the Sandaime seeing Danzo nodding since that was the general way to get rid of a potential risk to village security in exposing secrets. If Itachi were to learn of this, he will believe we've perverted his sense of justice, and may turn on us, said Danzo with Hiruzen frowning at him. He won't. Itachi loves his brother too much to risk anything happening to the boy no matter what we do in keeping Sasuke here, said the Hokage though Danzo wasn't so sure. And if by chance you're wrong? Said Danzo with the Sandaime scowling at him. Then we simply remove Itachi from play on the grounds that he faces justice for the slaying of his clan. I'll use his own principles against him, said the Sandaime Hokage knowing Jiraiya will get in contact with Itachi afterwards and thus can keep a close eye on the Uchiha in case the man needed to be removed from play. Justice would compel Itachi to slay his clan, and it would be justice that would make the Uchiha pay for his crime against them. If there was one thing Uchiha Itachi loved more than Paki, it was the concept of justice, and how no one could run from it. When you committed a crime, justice would always find a way to reach out, grab you by the collar of your shirt, and kick you in the ass if not somewhere else, considering justice was rumored to be blind. Such a principle had been around for quite a while, a philosophy Itachi had embraced when the Yondaime Hokage was in power, and long after the man's death. It was what allowed him to endure all the hardships of being a shinobi, to advance himself from Genin to Chunin, and Jounin all the way to Anbu such a young age. A prodigy the Uchiha clan people kept on repeating time and time again. Some said he would one day be Hokage, the Sandaime Hokage's new successor to fill the big shoes of the Yondaime, and even keep the demon brat in line should he get to bold. Not that Itachi believed Naruto to be a monster like they kept on saying, but something great, and the potential to match. But what was true justice to Uchiha Itachi? For the Uchiha prodigy, it was definitely not being found in Konoha, and the Hokage was making sure it was being denied to Naruto. Itachi had seen more than his fair share of the abuse Naruto was going through, had to intervene himself while keeping it hidden with the help of his Anbu mask hiding his real identity from many of those that hated the boy, and that included many of the shinobi in Konoha too. Itachi had every intention of watching over the kid when time allowed when not on missions or training to get stronger under his own power. However, the Sandaime Hokage seemed to figure out the identity of the boy's secret guardian, and the Uchiha clan was getting a bit aggressive. Something Itachi knew the Sandaime Hokage had noticed along with the rest of Konoha's governing body, and clan was making waves many felt weren't needed right now. It was around that time, the Sandaime Hokage with Danzo, and the Shinobi Council had asked him to do something to put this situation to rest. The Hokage had apparently tried to be diplomatic about this situation, but the Uchiha clan was making demands, which the Sandaime wouldn't give, and thus was forcing his hand to do what many Kages in his position would call a necessary evil to ensure the village wasn't torn in half. Itachi had agreed since he had been at some of the meetings his father had with the clan, and was not happy to hear what was spoken, so with great reluctance Itachi agreed to the mission presented before him: wipe out most of the Uchiha clan. When the order came down, Itachi knew he had to be patient when the time came to do his duty to the village, and knew that for his mission to be successful the majority of the clan had to be in the Uchiha district. It was then Madara came to see him, asking about his progress, and the affairs of Konoha like he was expecting something to happen since their last meeting. Itachi knew he needed Madara's help. Without question the Uchiha knew it was the only way to ensure the mission went off without a snag. So Itachi had asked Madara for help and the man agreed without pause in his step like it was something he planned to do from the start regardless if Itachi did it himself. Soon, the time came for the night where slaying the Uchiha clan would happen, which was the final meeting his father wished to have before the intended coup, and all of the Uchiha clan with the exception of Sasuke had been accounted for. Not that Sasuke would be harmed due to his innocent naive nature of what was going on with the clan itself, and Itachi believed his brother like the rest of the children would be spared so it could rise to heights once more. Sadly, Madara had put a stop to that while Itachi had dealt with the adults, and thus had forced things to spiral out of control. Itachi's mother had tried to stop parent and child from fighting each other despite the fact she knew the clan was in the wrong. Still, she had followed her duties to being loyal to the man she married, and kept her mouth shut instead of going to the Hokage from the start. It was wrong. Mikoto knew it was wrong to side with the clan, but what choice did she have in the matter? Even if she did go to the Hokage, the man was the reason behind the Uchiha wanting to do this in the first place, and his so-called negotiations had been fruitless at best if not insulting at the very worst. Not that it mattered at the time of the proclaimed massacre, as her own husband had been the one to end her life, and thus made Itachi react by ending him with ruthless precision. By that point, Sasuke had shown up to see the massacre happen, seeking his parents for answers to this horror, and found Itachi standing over their fallen bodies. Itachi did not really know why he warped Sasuke's mind with his Sharingan eyes, but deep down the man felt Sasuke's running away was like his father, who Itachi knew had done before in the past rather than face a stronger enemy to defend the village, and for the older of the two, officially remaining, members of the Uchiha clan found it unacceptable. For Itachi, an Uchiha faces his enemy with honor, defends the Leaf village no matter the rank, and regardless if there is a reward for the effort. Sasuke had done nothing of the sort. It was inexcusable. So for that reason alone, Itachi had warped his brother's mind with pain and suffering knowing when the time came the boy would seek him out. They would fight each other, but regardless of the outcome, the slayer of the Uchiha clan knew justice would be served with righteousness, and given the nature of the crime that started it without mercy, present time, that was then. This was now. Why do you think they are heading towards the ruins of Whirlpool country, Itachi? Said Kisame with the Uchiha just looking at the sea while on the boat with his partner while in pursuit of Uzumaki Naruto. I don't know. It doesn't matter. We will follow and capture him, said Itachi simply with the blue-skinned man grinning from ear to ear. Shame we have to considering he'd make a good addition to the group if the rumors of what he did are in fact true, said Kisame having heard the rumors from spies of Naruto being the one to kill the Sandaime Hokage though Pain was skeptical. Indeed. Naruto finally unleashed justice upon Konoha and took out a key player in its corruption. Perhaps we should ask Pain to revive him after extracting Kyuubi from him, said Itachi with Kisame grinning. Yeah. Wouldn't that make Konoha look bad? 3 missing nin joined the Akatsuki with 1 leaving and only then it was because you had to get violent with Orochimaru, said Kisame while Itachi narrowed his eyes while staring at the sea. Orochimaru brought it upon himself, Kisame. He tried to take from me what should not be his to take simply to satisfy the desires in his heart, said Itachi knowing justice had been trying to reach Orochimaru for quite a while, and Naruto had made it happen with the Sanin's death. Yeah. The guy freaked me out too. No sense of taste. And that tongue of his? Don't get me started on that, said Kisame while Itachi held back a smirk. I'll remember that when you upset me and I need to make my point get across with you using the power of my eyes, said Itachi while Kisame's face went pale knowing what he meant by that. With Naruto arrived with his group of now missing nin in Whirlpool without further delay after the altercation with the Leaf shinobi once leaving Fire Country, as they stopped by Wave Country to acquire a boat to take them there, and looked far from destroyed like people spoke to the contrary. On the outside, from the sea itself, Whirlpool did look like it was ruined, but once they docked the ship, the illusion was shattered, and the sight of a growing country could be seen before them. Tsunade felt something in her blood stir at seeing Whirlpool like this, as she too had Uzumaki blood running through her veins, and it seemed to awaken just from the sight alone. The last time Tsunade felt like this, she still had a connection to Konoha, and the people she loved were still alive. Kushina. Grandmother. Is this what you felt for your home when living here? Thought Tsunade while seeing its people, both shinobi and civilians thriving here like nothing had happened years ago. We have been slowly swelling the ranks of the populace for the past 3 to 4 years, give or take a few months. Some shinobi are survivors of the bloodline civil war, who needed refuge, or missing nin that left their village for the less than honorable decisions made. As for the civilians, well, they felt their own countries were less than hospitable to them given the times and wished to seek a place where their skills could be placed elsewhere, said Naruto while passing shops, stores, and various other good-selling wares. Why would they feel unwelcome in their own country? Said Shizen while seeing some of the more exotic goods. I don't know why. The various daimyos have all been less than nice to the less fortunate members of society, while the politicians and the rich bleed such people dry. I found them on my travels and offered them a place here in Whirlpool, said Naruto simply before he stopped and frowned slightly. Something wrong? Said Tsunade, seeing him look in the direction behind them. No. It's just something I have to take care of sooner than later. Haku. Would you be so kind as to show our new guests to the Uzumaki and help get things situated, said Naruto with Haku bowing before escorting the others to Zabuza while the Uzumaki himself went in a different direction. Not that far away, two figures looked at each other for a moment, then at their target, and proceeded to follow him with a sense of caution in their step. Training ground number 2, Uzumaki Naruto, said the shorter of the two figures while the blonde just looked at them with a grin on his face. How have you been, Itachi-san? The life of a missing nin treating you well the past 4 years? Said Naruto with Itachi nodding, though he felt the life was draining at times. I manage. Though considering your current actions in slaying the Sandaime, you are not exactly welcome in Konoha either, and are now a marked man, said Itachi with Kisame grinning further. Considering how he betrayed my trust, he deserved his death, and you of all people are in no position to complain. He and the councils did pervert your vision of how things were supposed to happen after you killed your clan, said Naruto, seeing Itachi nod, since that was true, though how the blonde knew that truth the Uchiha did not know. How did you discover my desire, if you don't me asking? Said Itachi with Naruto pulling out a book that was the Sandaime Hokage's personal journal he had acquired after the old man left for the stadium the day of the Chunin exam finals. The Sandaime Hokage was very thorough in his work in writing everything down in the event such evidence was needed to help himself or hurt those around him, said Naruto, having read the dated paragraph where Itachi told the Sandaime his reason for agreeing to the liquidation of his clan. I see, said Itachi, while his anger over the old man's disregard for turning his noble act into something twisted. Enough talk, Itachi. Pain wants this guy captured, and that's what we're going to do, said Kisame before grabbing Samehada from his back. For the Kyuubi, said Naruto simply while their eyes widened in surprise. You know? Said Itachi with Naruto smirking at him. It's not hard to figure out, Itachi. You need me for something, but that something is sealed inside of my body, and there is only one thing sealed inside my body anyone would want to have in their possession. Tell me, Itachi, where is the justice in that? Said Naruto with Itachi stiffening and prevented Kisame from moving forward with an outstretched hand. What do you mean? Said Itachi with Naruto shrugging at him. I mean, where is the justice in kidnapping me when I refuse to come with you to your boss because he wants what I have inside my body? By doing this, you serve someone who is no better than Konoha in wanting to use me, if only for a brief time, and then no doubt cast my person away once my purpose has ended. Like I was nothing. Where is the justice in that, Itachi? Said Naruto with Itachi going deep in thought about this. Justice, my ass. On this for the power. You're either a shark in this world or a fish that gets eaten by the sharks, said Kisame while Itachi narrowed his eyes and saw Naruto was looking at him expectantly. Kisame, said Itachi simply to get the man's attention, while Naruto kept on smirking at him. What? Said Kisame turning to look at his partner in crime. Goodbye. Tsukuyumi, said Itachi turning his head to look at Kisame with Sharingan active, and that was all the Miss Shinobi would see before darkness claimed him with the sound of sword cutting through flesh being heard throughout the training ground. You're cutting all ties with the Akatsuki? Just like that? Said Naruto curiously. Yes. The path of justice cannot be obtained by siding with the Akatsuki. The fastest path to justice is the path I walk. What Pain has in mind for using the Biju will take too long, and it is not justice. I only joined to protect myself from Hunter Nin seeking to collect my bounty, said Itachi with Naruto nodding. And your eyes? How are they? Said Naruto with Itachi stiffening again. Kyuubi told you about the curse of our Sharingan eyes, I take it? Said Itachi simply with Naruto's smirk growing. In the event I had to face someone like you or someone with it, said Naruto with Itachi nodding. My eyesight is nearly lost. It won't be long before I'm completely blind. To be honest, I don't really care for eyesight, and seeing the idiots of the world smiling has always been something of a distaste that comes with it, said Itachi, seeing Naruto look sad by this, but nodded in understanding, and motioned for Itachi to follow him. Uzumaki Tower. Uzumaki Tower, you wish to join Whirlpool? Said Tsunade, having been in the office with Shizen, with both women being on guard against the Uchiha since he had killed his entire clan. Yes. Officially, I am a missing nin of Konoha, and now soon to be considered a former agent of the organization once I fail to report in with Kisame, said Itachi before giving Zabuza the sealing scroll holding Kisame's body with another holding the late missing nin's sword. And unofficially? Said Tsunade, seeing Itachi look at Naruto, who nodded to him to tell them everything, and proceed with this confession. I am a spy for Konoha. To infiltrate the Akatsuki, learn its secrets, purpose, and what they want with the 9 Biju. Though I doubt the reason for knowing is not honorable like they want me to believe, said Itachi with the group in the room grimacing, since it was most likely true. They want to know what the Akatsuki have planned so they can prevent it, and yet use their own tactics to gain the Biju for themselves, said Tsunade with Itachi nodding, since he got that feeling too. The 9 were originally from Konoha under the supervision of the Shodaime Hokage himself. Your grandfather then scattered 8 of the 9 to the other shinobi villages to promote peace and prevent the other villages banding together to take them in a violent war. Tsunade-sama, said Itachi while Naruto frowned at this information, and Kyuubi did too since he didn't like being used. And now the powers that be want them all back again under one roof. All 9 Biju and 9 vessels, who are all submissive, and loyal to them like attack dogs, said Naruto with his voice being dangerously low with anger laced in it. How do you want to proceed, Naruto? Said Zabuza with the boy's scowl leaving for a smile that spoke of wicked things running around in the Uzumaki's skull. Simple. We do what Konoha planned to do, but in a different way, and different result from the end of such a plan, said Naruto seeing them looking at him intently. You wish to bring the other Jinchuriki here? Even Yagura? Said Zabuza while seeing Naruto nod. Unlike their villages, Whirlpool will not treat them like weapons, but rather as people, and unlike the Akatsuki we will give them a choice. If they say no, then we simply move on to the next Jinchuriki, and deliver the offer while keeping tabs on them for when the Akatsuki do come around. Just because they turn down the offer doesn't mean we leave them to fighting the organization alone without backup. As for Yagura, I do not believe his actions are his own, and I sense something amiss with his behavior. If I am incorrect, then the man will be dealt with accordingly, and will handle the return of the Three Tails when it resurfaces upon the Mizuki's death, said Naruto while the others saw how that could help them in the long run. There is one more thing. Uchiha Madara is the one behind Kyuubi's attack years ago. He killed the Sandaime Hokage's wife and the bodyguards watching over your mother, said Itachi making everyone look at him with surprise. Are you sure? Uchiha Madara is supposed to be dead, said Tsunade seeing Itachi nod. He came to me at least a year before the order came down to kill the rest of my clan to offer me a position in his organization. Offered to train me and even assisted in killing members of my clan when the time came when he visited to check on my progress, said Itachi knowing this was a lot to take in all at once. Where is their base of operations? Being so high up a member you would have gone there, said Tsunade with Itachi looking at her for a second. It's an aim. Underneath it to be exact. While Uchiha Madara is the real leader via the shadows, the official leader of the Akatsuki is a man by the name of Pain, and he killed Salamander Hanzo to take control of AIM. While not as strong as Madara himself, Pain possesses the Rinnegan eyes, and is stronger than myself, said Itachi with this piece of information shocking everyone, even Naruto. The Rinnegan? But how can he possess such a dojutsu? It's a myth, isn't it? Such an eye is only that of legend, said Shizen while Naruto shook his head. The Sage of Six Paths was also considered a legend too, yet many believe he existed, and had a hand in creating the 9 Biju, said Naruto simply while Tsunade could only concede to that fact since it was true. How many members are there in the group? Said Zabuza curiously. Aside from myself and Kisame until now? Pain, a woman by the name of Konan, and Madara under the alias Tobi. Orochimaru was once with the organization for a time, but after an altercation with me, he left the Akatsuki to go on his own, and I was under the impression 2 more recruits would soon arrive, though when that it is I don't know, said Itachi with Naruto thinking things over in his mind. Perhaps you still can. They have no way of knowing if you abandon the organization, correct? Said Naruto with Itachi nodding. Then I suggest doing what you've been doing since joining the Akatsuki and spy on the organization for us. You were already doing it for Konoha and you can now do it for us. However, since Jiraiya will need to be convinced you still spy for him, any information you give the Sannin must be partially accurate, and provide us with who is going after which Jinchuriki. With Kisame dead, they will need to put you with a new partner, and no doubt make another attempt in capturing me when not going after the Biju. We can use this to kill more of the organization's members on the disguise of being slain during the attempts on myself if not the other Jinchuriki, said Naruto seeing Itachi nod, as he could do that, and just long enough until the Akatsuki was weakened to the point where Naruto could deliver the final blow. I doubt they will believe the lie of Naruto killing Kisame since he was tougher than most of the other 7 swordsmen of the mist. The official story will be he was defeated by Senju Tsunade shortly after recruiting her and Shizen to his little group with teamwork being the key to his death, said Zabuza with Itachi nodding at using this cover story due to it being believable. One more thing, Itachi. Do you know your sword's name? Said Naruto with Itachi now looking startled by the question. How did you know I could talk to it? Said Itachi with Naruto smiling at him. You are not the only one granted such power. As to question, yes? No? Said Naruto curiously. I can hear my sword's voice, but not its name, and I can feel with each day my blindness gets stronger the possibility of hearing it increasing. I can only conclude that in order to hear its name, I must first be denied eyesight, and see beyond what my eyes see in front of me now, said Itachi with Tsunade and Shizen looking a tad confused by the question and conversation they were having in front of them. Then that is clearly the price you must pay, Itachi, said Naruto simply with Itachi just nodding his head. It is something I made peace with the moment I learned of the effect of using the power of the Sharingan in that manner, said Itachi with Naruto's smirk increasing slightly. And your brother? Said Naruto curiously. Sasuke has been perverted from the vision I wanted him to become when I laid the path to redeeming the Uchiha clan. When the time comes he will die, said Itachi knowing it was going to cross each other's path again one day. Only the next time it happens it would be for the last time. Konoha, this is disturbing news. Senju Tsunade has joined our enemies and all out of spite. She should know her loyalty is to this village and not the Kyuubi brat just because he is her supposed godson, said Hamura with the others nodding in agreement. I say she gets put in the bingo book. S-class missing nin just like Orochimaru was, and Naruto himself will be SS-class missing nin on account of his Jinchuriki status. We will put a bounty on both of them so high, even those closest to their hearts will sell them out for a small finder's fee, and make things easier for us when we take them down, said a civilian council member with many nodding in agreement. What of Hyuga Hinata? While Mitarashi Enko is of no concern in bringing back to the village given her past affiliation with Orochimaru, we can still save the Hyuga girl from further taint by the demon brat, and bring her back to Konoha to be re-educated in manner befitting her station, said Koharu, as she saw many ponder this, and knew it would not be easy decision since the girl did possess the Byakugan. We will make the attempt to retrieve her, and have Inoichi erase the memories she had being with the brat. Once that happens, her clan can place the caged bird seal on the girl's head, and kept a close eye on in the event something still lingers within, said Danzo, as he saw many agreed with that approach, and Hayashi did too since he did not approve his daughter being with the Kyuubi Jinchuriki. What about the Uchiha? He's been asking for someone to train him to fight at Naruto's level? Not only that, but the other rookies are asking questions, and their Jounin senseis are doing their best to avoid answering, said Some, knowing how the Uchiha was now bitching about getting stronger so he could beat Naruto before facing off against Itachi. Have various shinobi train the Uchiha. With his Sharingan eyes active, he can learn things even faster, and with an arsenal of jutsus under his belt will bring the demon brat down even further, said Hamura while Jiraiya sighed and shook his head. It doesn't matter what you do, Naruto won't be taken down so easily, and there's the fact his illusionary powers can make us think we've hit him when in fact it could be the exact opposite, said Jiraiya, having seen Orochimaru himself become fooled by the power of such illusionary skills. Nonsense! All the Uchiha has to do is use his Sharingan to break such things and then the Kyuubi Jinchuriki will become powerless, said Danzo while secretly hoping that his physical alterations would be able to overpower the boy long enough to turn him into an obedient pet. Whatever. Since Tsunade isn't going to be Hokage, I will have to step in, and be it until someone much younger than myself can fill the shoes, said Jiraiya, knowing it would upset Danzo and allow him to handle some things from this position of power, like backtracking Naruto's movements to the point where he found that sword and how he got stronger because of it. Jiraiya knew he had seen that weapon before, but for the life of himself, he couldn't think of where his eyes had seen it, and would need the position of Hokage to do that. Akatsuki HQ, Kisame is dead? How? Said Pain while his eyes staring into Itachi's own. Naruto, along with his allies consisting of Orochimaru's former bodyguards, and Senju Tsunade of the Sannin, fought the two of us. They used teamwork to keep me at bay, and Kisame was overpowered with Tsunade smashing his face in with one of her well-timed super strength-enhanced punches. Being the best medic nin in the elemental countries, she knows where to strike with such hits, and where they can do the most damage, said Itachi while Pain narrowed his eyes at him. This is unfortunate. Kisame's death delays us from reaching our goal and gathering strong members for taking on the Jinchuriki of each shinobi village. For now, we will be silent, and wait until our ranks swell again while gathering intel on the location of each of the 9 Jinchuriki, said Pain with Itachi nodding. Who will be my partner in pursing Uzumaki Naruto should the opportunity present itself again? Said Itachi, since he was in need of a replacement partner. Sasori of the Red Sands will be your partner until we can find a suitable replacement on a permanent level where defeating someone of the Kyuubi Jinchuriki's level won't be too difficult, said Pain, seeing one of the shadows in the room nod while Itachi silently let his muscles unclench from the fear of Pain pairing him up with Tobi. I understand, said Itachi, knowing he and Sasori had no problems with each other since they both entered the organization. Hokage's office. You wanted to see us, Jiraiya? Said Kakashi, seeing the Sannin turned Hokage nod while looking at him, and Kurenai. Yes. When Naruto was on your team, Kakashi, did you ever sense anything off about him, or any kind of genjutsu around his body, Kurenai? Said Jiraiya, seeing the two shake their heads. No, never. My Sharingan was active twice when around him, with the first being when we fought Zabuza the first time heading into Wave Country, and then a second time on the incomplete bridge. Granted, the second time I was focused on Zabuza, and he had made the mist thicker than usual to combat my Sharingan eye, said Kakashi, seeing Jiraiya nod, since there was a chance the mist had interfered in some way with the Sharingan, and the fact there was even some mist during the first encounter according to the report Jiraiya read. I couldn't sense anything off about him, and I'm one of the most skilled in genjutsu for someone not of Uchiha blood. Granted, I wasn't around him a lot, but I was close enough during the Chunin exam preliminaries to know if there was a genjutsu on him, or some other illusionary ability we have yet to discover, said Kurenai, with Jiraiya looking even more troubled. He also apparently cast the illusion over Hinata to make us see a shy girl. But if that is the case, how did such a power fool the Byakugan? Said Jiraiya, making the two Jounin senseis look startled by this news, since they just realized this too. Niji fought Hinata with his eyes practically at full power. If anyone should have seen through the illusion Naruto made, it should have been him, said Kurenai while Jiraiya nodded in agreement. Meaning this power can fool even the Byakugan. The Hyuga clan isn't going to like this one bit, said Jiraiya, knowing that was a headache waiting to happen. We need to find a means to combat Naruto and this power. Considering he's one of the 9 known Jinchuriki in the elemental countries, perhaps we should try combating him with another Jinchuriki, and use the fights to study his power, said Kakashi thoughtfully while Jiraiya also thought about that course of action. It's possible. Though Suna won't let us do that, even if we've become allies again due to the circumstance behind them allying with Orochimaru, and wanting to prove they've still got the right to be one of the 5 major shinobi villages. Kumo is out of the question due to Konoha being on thin ice with them after that deal to keep the peace roughly a decade ago, and they probably asked for a Hyuga again for compensation. Mist is currently in chaos, so asking the Mizukage for help is out of the question since we all know what he thinks of bloodlines. The only other village, which has a Jinchuriki, is a minor one named Taki, and that was because Tsunade's grandfather gave them the Biju to promote peace after the failed attempt on his life by one of their shinobi, said Jiraiya with both shinobi interested in knowing more. Taki? Aren't they neutral, or at least side in favor with us most of the time when conflicts around their country happen? Said Kakashi, having heard the name of the village many years ago. Yes. I know their village leader. He's on good speaking terms with me and explained how the girl named Fu was chosen for being the vessel for the 7-tailed beetle. Their Jinchuriki has been hassled by its people all her life, and we can use it to our advantage in convincing them to let us borrow her for attacking Naruto. All we need to do is instill fear into the overall populace in the belief that our rogue Jinchuriki is just a sign of possible things to come, as all of the Jinchuriki may come to believe they are too powerful to be controlled, and I even used the Mizukage himself as a key example with his bloodline civil war he started shortly after taking office, said Jiraiya while thinking it over in his head. Also, it could be used as a good excuse to have the village send their Jinchuriki off on a mission she'll most likely never return from again. And even if this girl did, we can always lie while turning her into one of our shinobi, said Kakashi with Jiraiya agreeing since such a thing wasn't impossible to do if done correctly. That will be a contingency plan in the event Fu fails to defeat Naruto with her Jinchuriki powers, said Jiraiya, knowing it was going to take a bit of sweet talking on his end when speaking to Taki's leader about this idea. I wonder what else Naruto has hidden from us. First, it was his real self, then Hinata's true appearance, and finally Anko, with those two revealing themselves because they had nothing to hide anymore. But Naruto's had 4 years moving around under that illusion doing Kami only knows what, and could have done something else with it, said Kurenai with Jiraiya and Kakashi nodding since that fact was unmistakably true. Which is why we need to plan a way to take Naruto down, said Jiraiya before quickly dismissing the shinobi from the room to bring about the proposed plan. Whirlpool Country Hospital. Why didn't you tell us you had these two after Sound was destroyed? Said Jirobo, seeing Yugo and Sugesta standing in the same room with Kimimaro being there to make sure the orange-haired man sane while here. Would it have made a difference? Said Naruto simply while Tsunade examined both shinobi that Orochimaru had taken an interest in. Maybe, said Jirobo before being elbowed by Tayuya. Shut your fucking mouth, you fat ass, said Tayuya while Naruto gave her a look of disapproval in his eyes. Language, Tayuya. Use your inner voice, said Naruto while Tayuya blushed and looked away from him. That voice probably swears just as badly, said Kidamaru with Tayuya glaring at him. More than likely. How do they look, Tsunade? Are they healthy? Said Naruto while ignoring Tayuya's angry red face and focused on the two other individuals he had saved when in Rice Country. Both are healthy. Though from what I understand, Yugo here is the basis for the curse seal these four had, and his bloodline is currently unstable. I'll have to figure out a way to treat it, but until then, I'm suggesting he along with Kimimaro be roommates, and be near the other at all times until one can be discovered, said Tsunade with either individual protesting that. What about me? Said Sugesta while seeing Naruto turning to look at him. What do you want to do now that you're free? Said Naruto with Sugesta thinking for a moment. I want to be one of the 7 swordsmen, said Sugesta finally since it had been his dream for a long time. Really? Interesting. Zabuza is officially dead, but is very much alive, and I won't allow him to be slain since he is the Kage of our village. Still, you yourself are a swordsman taught in mist before Orochimaru got his hands on you and as such should have a weapon befitting such a right, said Naruto before taking the storage scroll that housed Samahata and throwing it to Sugesta. This is, said Sugesta once he saw the weapon in his hands. Sadly, the 7 swordsmen of the mist has been fractured beyond all repair, and thus members of the group are scattered to the wind. They are either dead or missing Nin, said Naruto seeing Sugesta looking at the weapon in his hands. So where does that leave me exactly with this? Said Sugesta seeing Naruto smirk at him. Here, of course. I was thinking of starting up my own version of the 7 swordsmen here in Whirlpool. Since Zabuza is the Uzukage, I can't exactly have him leading both just yet until I take over for him when old enough, and we need recruits. You will be one of them, Sugesta, said Naruto with the man looking thrilled to be part of something like this. Who else do you have in mind for candidacy? Said Sugesta curiously. Midarashi Anko for one. Hyuga Hinata when she's old enough and Momochi Haku in a few more years, said Naruto with Sugesta grinning like a perverted idiot. Sweet. In a few years I'll be surrounded by hot women. This is awesome, said Sugesta before being hit by an intense spiritual pressure from Naruto, which made the man turn to liquid, and only when did it stop did the swordsman solidify again. Try anything perverted with any of them, and you will wish Orochimaru was still alive to experiment on your body, said Naruto with Sugesta stumbling a bit once returning to solid form. Right. Keep hands to myself. Got it. said Sugesta while Naruto smirked once more and then refocused on the sound 3, though Kimimaro may rejoin the ranks to turn it into the sound 4 again. Maybe the sound 5 if Yugo decided to join them too, provided his condition didn't go beyond the realm of possible treatment by Tsunade, of course. What's next on the agenda? Said Jirobo curiously. Finding the other Jinchuriki and offering them a true home here in Whirlpool where they will be treated with the respect they deserve, said Naruto before leaving the room. Suna, is this information accurate? Said Baki, seeing the report handed to him, while Gaara sat in the hospital bed beside him, still healing from the injuries Naruto delivered during the Chunin exam finals. They had been back for a little while in Suna, handling internal affairs after the report of the Kazekage found dead in the desert, and Orochimaru impersonating the man since that time. Gaara had been reflecting on his life after his defeat, escaping during the invasion, which never happened due to Naruto killing so many of their shinobi, and Orochimaru's sound shinobi in the process before the signal was sent out. Now there was talk of who would replace the late Kazekage, and Baki was currently the temporary replacement until it was decided on whether or not to make Gaara the man's successor. A little dated since we've been busy with our own problems, but it is still very accurate nonetheless, and the newest bingo book just came out, said the Suna Jounin, who gave Baki the report, and then showed the latest entries into its pages. I see. Even Senju Tsunade herself has been put in it, and a mark on it saying her Sannin traveling rights have been revoked should she travel into Fire Country by Konoha, said Baki while Gaara was deep in thought about things. Baki, said Gaara at last. Yes, Gaara? Said Baki, turning to his student. Am I a monster like the village has always proclaimed me to be since birth? Said Gaara while Baki was surprised by the sudden question, and it took a moment to think over a proper response. No. Gaara, the reason why the village treated you so badly was due to your father's own designs for Suna to achieve greater power. The village was dying financially, and he was slowly going mad over the fact Konoha was taking it all away from us. After you had Shikaku sealed inside your body, he wanted you to become a living weapon in order to make Suna recognized once more as one of the great 5 shinobi villages, and bring back lost clients. To do this, he felt you needed to be hated, and attacked on all sides to bring out the demon's power in manipulating the sand. You are only a monster if you choose to be one, but now that there is a chance of becoming Kazekage, and being the village's protector while ruling over the people of Suna, said Baki while Gaara was processing his words. I heard a rumor the Mizukage is a Jinchuriki like me and started the bloodline civil war to purge it of all bloodlines. Is this true? Said Gaara with Baki hesitating for a second. Yes, it's true. I theorized the Mizukage became spiteful of the village and decided to take it out on those with bloodlines, since those with bloodlines are considered more of a threat to a Jinchuriki than those without them, said Baki with Gaara frowning slightly. I don't want to be a monster anymore, but I also don't think I can serve Suna either, and risk going mad with power should the title of Kazekage become mine, said Gaara with Baki nodding, since the boy's instability up until now and the seed of power the title of Kazekage bestows could bring the red-haired child up there with the 3-tailed vessel in mist. We'll find some measure of middle ground, Gaara. If you don't want to be Kazekage in the future, I'll understand if it's your decision, and no one will pressure you into it, said Baki, knowing Temari or Kenkuro could take over the position if the Jounin himself had decided to let one of the late Kazekage's children become the village's leader. Thank you, Baki-sensei, said Gaara while trying to figure out his next move for himself regarding Shikaku. There is still the matter of your seal not being entirely stable, said Baki, as he had long since told the late Kazekage of how Gaara would probably be able to use the Biju's power if the seal were stronger, and the man told him to drop it. I do not wish to live my life like this anymore, Baki-sensei. I want to know what it means to sleep without fear of Shikaku awakening to take control and dream without it turning into a nightmare, said Gaara while the pain in his shoulder echoed still through his body. Sadly, the only person truly capable of strengthening your seal would be Jiraiya of the Sannin. But maybe, said Baki with a bit of afterthought while rubbing his chin. Maybe what? Said Gaara, since he knew Baki was thinking of a possible alternative. It has long been said the Uzumaki clan were skilled in the stealing arts, and it was one of the reasons they were feared in the elemental countries. Since Naruto is apparently an Uzumaki, we could request he look at the seal, and strengthen it, and ultimately help you sleep better in the process, said Baki with Gaara thinking this over in his head. He is an enemy of Konoha, said Gaara, knowing that killing the Sandaime Hokage, who was admired by many people, in the Leaf Village during the Chunin exam finals would have that effect on its people, and no doubt make its shinobi hungry for the Uzumaki's blood. True. However, the new alliance treaty Kankuro helped right after we returned to Suna has yet to be signed due to Jiraiya being busy with other matters, and until it's signed we are officially neutral to them until that point. If you can reach Naruto and have him fix the seal before the treaty is signed, then Suna will be safe from any political backlash in the event it's discovered you went to him for help, said Baki, knowing that the loophole was small like threading a needle, but it would be worth it to give this boy a chance to have some kind of normal life, and not be the insane monster the late Kazekage had so harshly envisioned. When will I be well enough to travel? Said Gaara, knowing the sooner he could depart the better. Not for another couple of days at the least. Don't try to push it, Gaara. I know you hate waiting, but I wouldn't say this unless it was true. And patience pays off in the long run, said Baki with Gaara nodding in agreement. I understand, Baki-sensei, and thank you for putting up with me, said Gaara with the Jounin being surprised by the red-haired boy's humble tone. Temari will accompany you when the time comes to find Naruto. However, if you are unable to find him before the alliance treaty is signed, return to Suna at once, and make sure no one knows of your reason for being away from Suna, said Baki, seeing Gaara nod, knowing Konoha would raise a fuss if they did once the alliance was made official. Gaara nodded. Inside his head, Shikako was nervous, pleading with the boy to not lock him away, and actually apologizing for making the kid an insomniac. Not that Gaara was not listening to him. He was going to be sane, yet strong enough to use the Biju's power properly, and Gaara had a feeling Uzumaki Naruto knew how that was possible. All the red-haired boy had to do was find and ask him. Naruto raised an eyebrow as he stood in front of Zabuza in the Uzukage's office, and the report regarding what they had learned from their spies in Konoha. Despite Konoha supposedly having the best spy network in all of the elemental countries under Jiraiya's command, the Sannin now turned 5th Hokage had yet to realize Naruto had his own spy network, and had several reliable agents in the Leaf Village. All of those spies throughout the elemental countries were part of the Whirlpool's Shadow Force division and were under Hinata's direct command. If Jiraiya's spy network was truly the best network out there, the man would have made them do counter-spying, which Naruto had the Shadow Force division do, but had all agents assigned to counter-spying be put under Haku's direct command, thus sharing the division with Hinata in a fair and balanced way, while at the same time, both shared the duties assigned to them in the medical division. They were both skilled in that field as well, and Naruto felt they should broaden their skills there. It didn't hurt that Tsunade was working at the hospital with Shizen and helping the girls in furthering their training in the medical arts. However, both girls reported to Zabuza with their findings, and Naruto would listen in. Enko easily got into the swing of things as being the new head of the INT division, and was enjoying herself immensely in the process since, interesting, remarked Naruto while reading the report. I'll say. Jiraiya is going to recruit Taki's Jinchuriki to join Konoha's cause in the hopes of her possibly defeating you. That's ballsy and cruel all in one, stated Zabuza, knowing it was against Naruto's personal belief to harm another Jinchuriki like himself unless it was absolutely necessary, or the Jinchuriki was an unrepentant jerk and needed to be put down. Agreed. Jinchuriki being used to fight other Jinchuriki. It sends a clear message to all the others that those that run or don't wish to follow the status quo will be hunted down by our own. Despicable, remarked Naruto while reading over the information on hand. Jiraiya is going to head there in a few days. How do you want to proceed? Do you want to go yourself? Questioned Zabuza with Naruto nodding. I have to go, Zabuza. If I don't, Fu will most likely distrust anyone else sent in my place. Only a Jinchuriki can relate to other Jinchuriki. This will also set back our own plans to investigate Yagura more closely. If Uchiha Madara truly is alive like Itachi claims he is, then there is a chance the Mizukage has been manipulating the Uchiha in secret from the shadows, and discrediting Jinchuriki everywhere who wish to be accepted by their own villages, replied Naruto with Zabuza with growling in anger. It also means that if I had succeeded in my coup all those years ago, Madara would have just used me as a puppet until the Three Tails came back, and was sealed away into another person, added Zabuza while Naruto nodded in agreement. And once that happened, you would have eventually been killed in some fashion, and the newest Jinchuriki would have taken your place, finished Naruto calmly with Zabuza looking angrily at him. I'm going to enjoy killing that asshole, replied Zabuza with Naruto smirking at him. In due time, Zabuza. For now, I need to head to Taki to ensure one of fellow Jinchuriki doesn't become Konoha's attack dog, said Naruto before he left the room. Taki a week later. So you want Fu to aid you in your fight against the Kyuubi Jinchuriki, said Shibuki, as the young leader of Taki looked at Jiraiya, and saw the man nodding while his ANBU bodyguards behind him didn't move. It sets a bad precedent for everyone to see a Jinchuriki go rogue. It gives them hope. Ideas. If word reaches the other Jinchuriki throughout the elemental countries, it will make them believe they have a right beyond serving their villages, and follow Naruto's example. If your Jinchuriki finds out, she'll think it's okay to leave Taki undefended, and go out on her own. Konoha can not only keep an eye on her, but ensure the leash is also tighter, and can teach you how to yank it better when the time comes to make her heel under your feet, replied Jiraiya with Shibuki nodding. She has been getting rebellious as of late. Fu has come under the impression that her station deserves more than what has been provided for her outside of the village, said Shibuki while rubbing his chin in thought. Jinchuriki that grow bold will only grow bolder until someone puts them in their place and reminds them of their one true purpose in life. Your Jinchuriki is starting to get ideas in her head about life, and they need to be stomped out now before they have a chance to take root, replied Jiraiya with Shibuki nodding. All right. I will allow her go with you to Konoha for a while to help with your hunt for the rogue Kyuubi Jinchuriki. But she is only on loan, Jiraiya, and I expect her seal to be modified to ensure that I can cut off her connection to the Biju should I wish it. Also, I want another seal connecting to her mind to make her think positive thoughts about me, and to possibly fall in love with me in a few years. The people in Taki won't mind Fu in village once they know she has been properly tamed and by my side in more ways than one, replied Shibuki, as he imagined what Fu would look like the years to come, and obeying his every command. You won't regret this, Shibuki. Where is Fu, if I may ask? replied Jiraiya with Shibuki looking over the last report he had of Fu's location just a few hours ago. North of here. She's been assigned to watch that area for another hour before heading to another area to patrol, answered Shibuki with Jiraiya nodding. We'll head there and inform her of your decision. We'll spin it so she'll think it's a way to see the world and you're rewarding her for being loyal, said Jiraiya with Shibuki liking the idea since it would help lower Fu's guard when the time came to mold her properly into being a truly submissive vessel. Take this. I'll make it an official order for her to go with you. That way, Fu won't be so suspicious when you approach her with the command. Unless she receives a scroll from me with my seal on it, Fu won't completely trust you, and might even attack if she senses any form of dishonesty, said Shibuki with Jiraiya nodding in understanding before he left with his ANBU, neither party realizing that their conversation was being recorded from a nearby rooftop, northern area outside of Taki. Sometime later. You're lying. Shibuki-sama wouldn't do that to me, said Fu, as she spoke to someone hiding in the shadows of the forest area, and saw the figure smiling at her. I have the recording right here. Your village leader Shibuki is talking to one Jiraiya of the Sannin, now turned 5th Hokage of Konoha, said the figure in a smooth, silky voice before playing the recording in his hand and let Fu hear what was being spoken. You could have faked it. A few clones hinged into them, countered Fu with the figure nodding. True. I could have done that, but I didn't. Why fake such evidence when the real thing is so much more powerful? Even as I speak, they are on their way here, and with the scroll mentioned in the recording. They won't be fakes, as you will be able to tell, and I'm sure your Biju will let you know when it senses the intent of others even if it's disguised behind good intentions like they will claim, said the figure with Fu scowling at him. It can, but I won't believe what you're saying is true until I see the proof with my own eyes, stated Fu with the figure's smile increasing. Then I'll leave you alone for now. Just consider my offer. We both know it's a far better one than the alternative Konoha is offering, said the figure before fading deeper into the shadows. Fu said nothing back to the figure, but in the back of her mind, she could feel her Biju was silently agreeing with the person. Over the years, Fu had learned to trust not only her Biju's instincts, but her own as well, and right now they both said to trust this individual. Even if this person's power screamed death itself to all who crossed his, judging by the deep tone of the voice, path, Fu knew it was better to trust this man over Shibuki, and his new allies sent to control her for what she held. And it seemed her mysterious supposed ally was right about Jiraiya heading his way with a few ANBU behind him. The man was wearing his Kage robes, as expected by someone in his position and leading a shinobi village, and Fu could see the man was trying to appear harmless with his kind smile he was putting up. But Fu had learned long ago to never trust anyone just because of the smile they sported and knew to be on guard in the event the smile hid something devious behind it. Who are you? Identify yourself, demanded Fu while Jiraiya bit back the desire to do his dance while his ANBU had their hands twitching slightly to reach for weapons at the disrespect she showed their Kage. I am the 5th Hokage of Konoha. I just came from seeing your leader Shibuki-sama and he has a mission for you, said Jiraiya before throwing the mission scroll to her, and Fu opened it before reading the contents carefully while seeing the seal at the bottom to show it was indeed authentic. I am to come with you to Konoha? To help you fight this rogue Jinchuriki? Asked Fu while seeing Jiraiya nod while he was still giving her the I'm your best friend smile. It made her want to vomit. That's right. This is a chance for you to see the world or at the very least another shinobi village. Maybe make a few new friends along the way, stated Jiraiya while putting the spin on the mission to further get the girl to see this as a positive thing. And if I say no? Questioned Fu while Jiraiya's smile faltered slightly and noticeably before coming back up again, while his ANBU once more felt the urge to knock the girl around just for questioning the mission. Why would you want to do that? From what Shibuki-sama told me, you don't get out that much, and have no one outside of him in terms of friendship. You could make quite a few friends in Konoha with my help, replied Jiraiya confidently, but on the inside he was wondering why she was so suspicious of him given how the mission scroll was very much official, and Shibuki had assured the Toad Sage the girl would comply given the nature of her lack of interaction with people. Maybe it has something to do with the real reason for hiring me? To be submissive. To be a mindless weapon for you and even worse for Shibuki Arobaka. Exclaimed Fu with Jiraiya looking shocked, but it turned into a scowl, and a twitch of his hand made the ANBU behind him grab their weapons. How did you find out? Asked Jiraiya in a demanding tone with Fu scowling. A friend told me. A true friend, answered Fu while Jiraiya narrowed his eyes at her before they widened. Naruto. He was here, accused Jiraiya with the ANBU behind him now being more on guard. Maybe it was and maybe it wasn't. He somehow recorded your entire conversation with Shibuki Baka and the proof of your dishonesty is in the very mission scroll you just gave me. The official seal on this just further proves I shouldn't go with you or guard Taki like I've been doing since I became a Jinchuriki. You want to hunt down rogue Jinchuriki? Do it yourself and without one of our kind to save your ass. Fu exclaimed angrily while Jiraiya was not pleased to hear this. You don't have a choice. The life of a Jinchuriki is one of hardship and sacrifice. They surrender their lives, freedoms, and personal feelings for the village that created them, replied Jiraiya while taking off his Kage robes. A life we had no say in. A life of slavery, countered Fu while feeling her Biju's power coming to life. You command great power, little girl. Incredible power. Well worth the price of giving up your free will, said Jiraiya with Fu snarling at him. Not when the people like you treat us all like garbage. If you were really so righteous in your claims, you would have volunteered to become a Jinchuriki willingly to serve your village, countered Fu with Jiraiya's frown increasing. Enough. I won't stand by and let you judge your better's child. You will learn your place in this world and know it is at the hands of your superiors, stated Jiraiya before he along with the others around him heard an amused chuckle. And what superiors would that be, Ero-sennin? You. Danzo? The lowly civilians within Konoha's walls who think they know more about sealing than you, my own father, or the Uzumaki clan? Countered a figure stepping out of the shadows to reveal one Uzumaki Naruto in all of his fashionable glory and looking like Sasuke Aizen did when wearing his Espada clothing. Naruto. So you did give the seven-tailed Jinchuriki information on us coming here, said Jiraiya in an accusing tone, while his A and BU got ready to make a move against the QB Jinchuriki. Of course I did. You really didn't think I would just let you get away with turning one of my fellow Jinchuriki against me, did you? Questioned Naruto with the current Kage of Konoha snarling at him. Surrender now and I might let you off lightly in terms of sentencing by letting you serve Konoha instead of going to jail, replied Jiraiya with Naruto's smirk increasing. No deal. I know you, Jiraiya. You would suppress my powers, Kyuubi's chakra, then have a Yamanaka dive into my head to wipe the memories away, and then put more seals on me to ensure I never even had an original thought of my own. And for what? Just to be your personal mindless weapon with no common sense whatsoever, said Naruto with Jiraiya scowling at him. It is your purpose in life, Naruto. Stop trying to tear down rules and barriers that are in place to help you fulfill that purpose properly, said Jiraiya with Naruto scowling at him now. Would you say that to me if our roles were reversed? Would you accept such a life like you claim I should? Tell me my failure of a godfather would practice what you preach if you were like me. Naruto challenged and saw Jiraiya refuse to answer him. The old guy won't answer because he knows Naruto is right. This Kage talks like he and everyone else responsible for making us are right when it comes to our lives. But if they were ever put in our position, they would fight back like we are right now, thought Fu with the Hokage in front of her moving fast and hit Naruto with a palm thrust to the gut. The boy in question went flying back, coughing up blood, and slumping down onto the ground with the ANBU in front of him with their swords drawn. Fu watched in horror how each of them stabbed a hand, an elbow, a knee, and foot while a few of them took out kunai before jabbing both of Naruto's shoulders. Jiraiya then calmly walked up to the downed Jinchuriki and prepared a sealing tag to suppress the boy's power while feeling a sense of accomplishment in grabbing 2 Jinchuriki for the price of 1. You should know better than to challenge me, brat, said Jiraiya confidently while before he frowned at Naruto when the boy just smirked at him. Don't be so sure, Ero-sennin. Shatter, Koika Suigetsu, said Naruto before his form suddenly shattered and Jiraiya's eyes widened as he found himself staring at a tree trunk before turning around to see what had befallen his ANBU bodyguards. And what he saw made the Sannin turned Kage want to puke. His ANBU bodyguards were all butchered. Arms, legs, torso, and their internal organs were all over the place. Their swords had been cut through and it was clear his escort had died truly violent deaths while he was under the influence of Naruto's power. How that happened, Jiraiya had no idea, but knew Naruto's power had somehow got him sometime when they last saw each other, and it made the man wonder when exactly that happened. And speaking of Naruto, the boy was standing beside the girl, who was covered in blood beside her fellow Jinchuriki. It was clear the female Jinchuriki had let out a lot of pent-up aggression on the Leaf ANBU. Jiraiya also realized his sealing tag was destroyed as well. The pain in his hand from being stabbed straight through finally kicked in, and he had to bite back the urge to cry out in surprised pain at feeling such a sudden sensation. We should kill him now, said Fu, but was stopped by Naruto putting a hand on her shoulder, and he shook his head. No. Let him return to Konoha and report to everyone he failed. More importantly, let him go back to Taki, and explain to Shibuki how he failed to bring you into his clutches. It should be an interesting conversation to be sure, replied Naruto smoothly with his cruel smirk never leaving him. I won't forget this. I'll find a way to gain immunity over this power you used, Naruto. Whatever it is, said Jiraiya with Naruto letting out an amused chuckle. There are more things in heaven and earth, Ero-sennin, than are dreamt up in your philosophy, said Naruto with Jiraiya narrowing his eyes at him. And what does that mean exactly? Questioned Jiraiya with Naruto's smirk growing. It means whatever you think it means, Ero-sennin. Goodbye, replied Naruto before he grabbed Fu's shoulder and left the area via flash step. Damn brat. Looks like I'll have to deal with you the hard way, thought Jiraiya bitterly, as he tried to move, but found his legs were struck by an incredible amount of pain, and realized both limbs had been stabbed below the knee. Earth Country weeks later. Something is wrong, Han, said a man sitting on a log by a fire wearing standard IWA shinobi clothing, his face sporting a red beard and red hair to match. I sense it too, Rashi. We are not alone, said another man across from other one named Rashi wearing armor over his entire body to the point where only his eyes were seeable. Their suspicions were proven correct when they found themselves surrounded by a small army of Leaf shinobi on all sides and soon found themselves wrapped with chains made with special metal designed to drain chakra. The chains also had seals on them to further speed up the process, as Jiraiya had come up with the concept. It was something he was thinking about when Kushina showed she had the power to do the same thing too, only naturally with her special chakra. She shown it could be used to subdue a Biju, and while these chains were a prototype of his idea come to life, it didn't mean the Leaf A and BU here were going to risk their targets getting free. By the order of Jiraiya the 5th Hokage, you are to be restrained and brought back to Konoha for retraining in your power, said the ANBU captain with silver gravity-defying hair and wearing a Inu mask. We are IWA shinobi. The sand-named Tsuchikage will not stand for this, protested Rashi angrily while he tried to call on his chakra, but found it wouldn't work, and saw Han was suffering the same way. Without you two backing him up, the Tsuchikage will do absolutely nothing, said the ANBU captain confidently. We will not serve Konoha, exclaimed Han, as he was much stronger physically than Han, and required more Leaf shinobi to match his strength. You can and will when given the proper motivation, replied the ANBU captain, as he saw Han and Rashi glaring at him. You mean using seals and mind invasions to meet the perverted desires of your Hokage? To be his mindless slaves and weapons? Replied Rashi angrily while the ANBU captain wearing the Inu mask shrugged. The Biju were once the property of Konoha. It's only natural we take them back. If it means taking them while in Jinchuriki? Then so be it, replied Inu, since he didn't care about what Jinchuriki thought, as only Konoha mattered, and these two were needed for his shinobi village to become strong again. Bastards! Exclaimed Rashi before falling to his knees and felt himself nearly passing out. Put more restraints on them and let's move. We need to get out of IWA territory before the Tsuchikage becomes aware of our presence, said Inu with the ANBU with him doing that and began their journey to Konoha. We need to get out of these restraints. But how, thought Rashi, as he felt his body was being drained, and saw Han was staggering too. His thoughts on the matter were interrupted when kunai, shuriken, webbing, and large Oni summons came out of the trees above. The Inu masked ANBU captain, being the most experienced of the group, was able to escape the barrage that came down on his team, all of which were not so lucky, and were killed violently in the attack. Inu knew his only option was to flee, but before he could, the ANBU captain was struck from behind with a kick by an albino and white-haired shinobi. Inu found himself being forced on the defensive, as the albino had created some kind of stabbing weapon after creating it from the bone in his palm. This isn't good. This guy is strong. Stronger than me by far. He could possibly be at Jiraiya-sama's fighting level, thought Inu, as he leaped away from his attacker, and found his prisoners had been freed from their chains. It got even worse for Inu when he found himself caught in webbing aimed at him from above and a stab wound to his lower torso from the foe in front. The albino's eyes were filled with cold fury, as if Inu had committed some unforgivable sin in his eyes, and the only way to repent for it was through pain. Naruto-sama sends his regards Hatake Kakashi, said the albino with Inu, now identified as Hatake Kakashi behind the ANBU mask, jerking his head back in surprise. This is one of Naruto's agents, thought Kakashi, as he tried to get away, but found the webbing was too strong, and the wound to his body was slowly sapping his strength. Well done, Kimimaro. You've done well, replied Naruto appearing from the shadows. Thank you, Naruto-sama. Though I was expecting more from this one. It's clear that the quality of skill Leaf shinobi those with his rank possess are lacking, replied Kimimaro while keeping an eye on Kakashi. So the son of the Yondaime Hokage graces us with his presence, said Rashi to draw the boy to him and Han. I may be his son, but I am not with Konoha. They lost that right years ago. Haven't you been keeping up with today's current events? Questioned Naruto with Han and Rashi looking at each other. We have, but find it hard to believe given your father was loved by Konoha, answered Han with Naruto smiling at them. I found out long ago that being a Jinchuriki negates any notion of the village loving me for being the son of the Yondaime Hokage. Contrary to popular belief, love does not conquer hate. Hate can win over love it's when mixed with greed, ambition, and the desire for more power at the cost of hurting others. That is what has driven Konoha to become corrupt and cast away the principles of the will of fire the Shodaime Hokage and his brother made years ago when founding the village. They cast away my mother's clan in their desire for the power of Kyuubi, betrayed them during the Second Shinobi War, and then had the nerve to remove any piece of the Uzumaki clan from the village's history books. All the history of Konoha now focuses on the Uchiha clan while the Senju clan is considered minor at best and a footnote at worst. Of course, I happened to acquire one of the older history textbooks predating the Second Shinobi War by at least a year, and found it to be filled with a lot more information about the founding clan members than you ever could in what they spew at the academy students, said Naruto, while he looked at Kakashi and sensed the man was glaring at him behind the ANBU mask. The Uchiha clan was nearly wiped out, Naruto. You can't expect Sasuke to just accept his clan's history being removed, countered Kakashi while ignoring Kimimaro's weapon being twisted in his gut. And what about my clan? What about Tsunade's clan? Why should our two clans get silenced while the Uchiha clan gets spoken the loudest? Naruto countered back, because their time is over. Sasuke is the future, and the future Hokage of Konoha should make sure his clan is not forgotten. Unlike yours and the Senju, replied Kakashi with hate in his voice. You do realize that 2 of the current 5 Hokages of Konoha were both Senju, right? Questioned Naruto with Kakashi snarling behind his ANBU mask. And when Sasuke is Hokage, he'll make sure they are considered insignificant when compared to his own time ruling the village, replied Kakashi with Naruto frowning a bit at that. And what of my father? Is his time being Hokage considered insignificant too? If the Uchiha were to become Hokage and he were to declare all other Hokages before him to be weak when compared to himself, would you follow that concept? Asked Naruto with Kakashi being silent for a moment. It won't come to that, said Kakashi after a moment. And if it does? Naruto challenged with Kakashi not saying anything for a moment. It won't, replied the ANBU captain. You can't guarantee that, Naruto shot back. If you kill me here I can't, challenged Kakashi with Naruto smirking. Point taken. Still, I doubt you could stop him regardless if you were alive to see the Uchiha become Hokage in the first place. But I'll amuse you nonetheless. Leave him here. Alive! Commanded Naruto with his subordinates descending from the trees and were shocked like the others. Are you sure, Naruto-sama? This man could be a threat to your future plans at a later time, said Kimimaro with concern in his voice. While he wouldn't question his master, the albino wasn't going to let a possible threat live and ruin things later on for Naruto. I'm sure he'll be the only survivor of this failed mission. Once reporting back to Jiraiya that he failed, the morale of Konoha's forces will drop. Besides, it's because of Konoha's actions as of late that the rebels in Water Country were able to kill the former Mizukage and Jinchuriki Yagura before I could free him from the genjutsu he was clearly under by someone working from the shadows. Now we have to wait 3 years until the three-tailed Biju reforms again to protect it. I want Konoha to suffer defeat after defeat until then by our hands and make them understand the ramifications of their actions in being too greedy for their own damn good, replied Naruto before unsheathing his Zanpakuto and stabbing Kakashi in the leg just above the knee. The scream was music to Naruto's ears. What was that for? Demanded Kakashi angrily. Aside from being a fool, lazy bum, and backstabber? That was meant to slow you down. Rashi. Han. If you could be so kind as to flare your chakra so all of IWA can sense your power so they come running, it would be greatly appreciated, answered Naruto while seeing Han and Rashi frown at first before they understood what was going on. You want the two of us to go with you while letting this Leaf shinobi take the blame for our sudden disappearance, knowing IWA will pursue him over your group, Han deduced with Naruto nodding. Of course. I want you to come with me away from here. Is your current situation with IWA really better than what I'm offering you? IWA doesn't appreciate either of you for what you do for them, each holding a Biju inside your bodies, using you as weapons in times of battle or war. When it's all said and done, what do they give you? Nothing. They say go back to your dwellings we provide for you outside of the village and wait for the next confrontation, replied Naruto with Rashi and Han looking down. And you claim to be different? Challenged Rashi with Naruto nodding. I'm like you. I too hold a Biju inside of me. Like you too, I was shunned, hated by just about everyone, oppressed by all, and basically told my purpose in life was to be a slave in all but name. I have escaped from such a life and wish to extend the invitation to the other Jinchuriki like myself. Fu from Taki has already joined and I would like the two of you to do the same. If you say no, I won't force the issue, and will respect your choice to stay loyal to IWA, said Naruto with Han and Rashi once more looking at each other while thinking things over. We'll go with you. If only to see what you are offering us, said Rashi. But if we don't like what we see, added Han while leaving the threat of getting violent in retaliation for the deceit. Of course. If you don't like what you see, I give you my word as a fellow Jinchuriki that you may leave without being restrained, replied Naruto with Han and Rashi nodding before they flared their chakra like the boy first asked of them. Time to leave, right? Asked Han with Naruto's smile growing. Indeed. Let's depart from here, said Naruto before he, Kimimaro, Han, Rashi, and the others with him left one Hatake Kakashi struggling to get free. Naruto knew the man would make it over the border to a neutral country or at least near Suna now that the two were officially allies again. Speaking of Suna, Gaara had once more returned to his village after having found Naruto, and getting his seal fixed so he could sleep. Fortunately, by the time the seal had been fixed, the treaty between Suna and Konoha had been finalized. However, the treaty was just a means to hold off future wars with each other, if only for a time, and was designed to last so long as it was mutually beneficial. Suna had wanted the treaty to be designed in helping them get back the strength they first lost thanks to their daimyo outsourcing the missions he had to Konoha in the first place. Through Naruto's spy network, he learned that the treaty-specified missions could be shared while splitting the payment down the middle, but the sharing could only be done when the mission required both villages. Sadly, while Naruto wished for Gaara to stay in Whirlpool, it would be bad for Suna, and Jiraiya would have instantly traced the red-haired Jinchuriki's steps straight to Naruto's front door. The Kyuubi Jinchuriki didn't want that, but he also didn't want Gaara to walk around with an unstable and weak seal knowing it would ruin his mind in the long run. At best, Naruto was able to obtain the Suna boys' friendship and loyalty for whatever enemies the two of them would have to face together in connection to the Akatsuki. That was enough for Naruto. It would take some time for Naruto to convince the two Jinchuriki and Kumo to join him since it appeared that village actually gave a crap about them. Though whether or not the feelings were because they did like the two Jinchuriki for all the right reasons or they were doing it under false pretenses was unknown. What Naruto did know about the two from Kumo was they could wait a little while longer, and he should refocus on the only remaining Jinchuriki that was once from mist. Sadly, this one took off, and was hiding out in water country without a means to track him. However, as luck would have it, Itachi was able to provide information on the Akatsuki's plans for waiting another 3 years to capture the Three Tails when it appeared, and to target the other Jinchuriki when their locations were resided. This gave Naruto a means to plan for battle this so-called Uchiha Madara and possibly convince this Pain individual to side with him. If what Itachi had told him about Pain was indeed true, the man might be an Uzumaki since Pain had the Rinnegan eyes, which were said to be the eyes of the Sage of Six Paths, and had the standard red hair of an Uzumaki to match. At least, that was what Itachi believed anyway, but was still unsure, and warned Naruto in his message to not take it at face value. But Naruto could wait. He had 3 years to prepare for the war that was coming after all. Jiraiya was sitting in the Hokage chair, his eyes on the council, and the clan heads in the room with no one being pleased with how things had gone in the last 3 years since the failure to grab the 7-tailed Jinchuriki from Taki and the 2 Jinchuriki from IWA. It had gotten worse when IWA implicated Konoha in stealing the 2 Jinchuriki and nearly went to war with their rival village if not for the intervention of the mysterious Uzukage of the newly reformed Whirlpool sending a message to the Sandaime Tsuchikage that Han and Rashi were now living in Whirlpool. Naturally, this turned the direction of Iwa's hostilities from Konoha to Whirlpool, and they wanted to go to war with them. The Tsuchikage sent a large ANBU attack force to head to Whirlpool and make an example of village trying act like they could. However, a young man with blonde slicked back hair, black shinobi pants, shirt, sandals, and white coat intercepted the 3 battalions IWA had sent before cutting them down. The bodies were sealed up into multiple scrolls with one holding all the arms, another held all the legs, the torso, the heads, their ANBU masks, their weapons, and even their organs. On top of the pile of scrolls was a note, which was addressed to the Tsuchikage, who read the note and went pale in the face. "You survived fighting my father. If you continue this action, his son will finish what he started in the last war. Uzumaki Naruto, son of the Yondaime Hokage." Below the note was a picture of Naruto, who the Tsuchikage could clearly see was indeed the spitting image of Namake's Minato, and it truly did terrify him. Hence why IWA currently had a non-aggression pact with Whirlpool. As for Kumo, they had tried their hand at wanting to get their hands on Naruto because of his Uzumaki blood, and the Hyuga girl that was now with him. A main family member at that with no caged bird seal on her head would make getting the Byakugan easier along with breeding their own version of Hyuga for Kumo's benefit. However, unlike IWA with their aggressive tactics, Kumo tried to be subtle, using the plan they hatched years ago with the ambassador making a treaty with Whirlpool, but also going on assignment to kidnap the Hyuga and sneak her back to Kumo. It nearly worked over a decade ago. It should work this time around. Right. Wrong. Not only did the plan fail outright, but when the Raikage demanded compensation in the form of either the Hyuga girl or Naruto himself for the loss of his agent, the blonde gave the man a counteroffer: back off or be annihilated. The Raikage, in a show of his infamous temper, chose a third option at the meeting where terms were being talked about: him shoving his massive fist and arm through Naruto's chest and frying the body with lightning. Shatter, Koika Sujetsu. Only for Naruto to shatter like glass in front of the Raikage and get a sword sticking out of his lower torso with his ANBU escort dead. In the end, the Raikage was forced to return back to Kumo alone, bleeding, wounded, and tell his shinobi back in his village that he failed miserably. That next time, Kumo would suffer heavy losses so great, they would be reduced to a minor village, and its enemies would swoop in to pick at the pieces. Within 3 days, another Kumo shinobi came to have a non-aggression pact signed like Whirlpool had done with IWA. Only this time, Naruto, being the merciful entity he was to the world, showed his generosity, and didn't demand either Jinchuriki Kumo had in their possession. Instead, Naruto sent a message to the Raikage about the Akatsuki, and their intentions for all of the Jinchuriki. Hence why he was trying to get as many of them to willingly follow him back to Whirlpool where they could train and get stronger for the fighting that was to come. In a somewhat surprising move, the Raikage sent a message back thanking Naruto for the information and also stating that Kumo was not like the other shinobi villages. That they were not like IWA, Taki, Suna, Kiri, or even Konoha regarding how they had treated their Jinchuriki. Both individuals chosen to hold the Biju were always treated with respect and kindness, with the Raikage's own brother Killer Bee being proof of that. It was here that a mutual respect between the Raikage of Kumo, and Naruto, the soon-to-be Uzukage of Whirlpool, was forged. Konoha has been suffering these past 3 years. Clients who would normally come to us have gone elsewhere. More specifically, they have taken their business to Whirlpool, and the Uzukage, stated Jiraiya, with the people in the room not happy in the slightest. Infiltrating Whirlpool has proven next to impossible. All of our agents have easily been discovered and my route have been unable to capture any of their Jinchuriki, said Danzo, with Jiraiya nodding since he read the same reports as the older man did. Whirlpool has an alliance with Spring Country after the demon brat single-handedly protected its future daimyo and overthrew her treacherous uncle. When you helped put in place Danzo, he was planning to give us blueprints for the chakra armor and airships in exchange for hiring our shinobi to lure his niece out of hiding before killing her while making it seem like an ambush from foreign shinobi, said Jiraiya, with Danzo not liking how he was being blamed for having their hidden partner taken from them. Truth was Kazuhana Doto, who was oppressing what was once called Snow Country, had become bold in his tyranny-based ways, and getting harder to control from the shadows. The team sent to guard Kazuhana Koike was going to have secondary orders where if Doto was indeed planning to break free from Konoha's influential control, they were to kill Doto, and ensure Koike takes the throne while being grateful for their assistance. Either way, the plan involved Konoha coming out on top in the end, and probably would have if given the chance. Sadly, Uzumaki Naruto did not give them that chance. That's not all. Some of our more noble as well as more well-paying clients somehow found out about some of our dirtier dealings. Getting funding and resources to keep our strength up is proving difficult, added Naro Shikaku, while many flinched at that since reserves of their finances were starting to become depleted. The only reason IWA hasn't picked a fight with us is because they don't have the muscle anymore with the loss of their Jinchuriki gone. The balance of power has shifted away from us and some of the other shinobi villages. Our analysis team has determined that Whirlpool is now the strongest, Kumo is the second strongest, and Suna being a distant third. We are just above IWA right now, but that is only because of Taki still being our secret ally, and Suna still having their treaty with us. Though how long the latter will hold in the years to come remains uncertain, added Hamura, while he, Koharu, Danzo, and Jiraiya scowled when they heard the sound of fighting occur outside the meeting room, with an amused chuckle from someone being heard before the door was kicked down to reveal the identity behind the commotion. It was Uzumaki Naruto. So many different minds in one room, yet not a single one of you has any idea how to handle your present situation, mocked Naruto, while Anbu swarmed the room and the shinobi that made up the governing body of Konoha were also ready for a fight. And we shouldn't arrest or kill you now, why? Asked Jiraiya, with his eyes narrowing on Naruto with caution after seeing what the boy's sword could do. 1. You are all weak compared to me, and even your talk of showing teamwork will accomplish nothing here except your death, of course. 2. I am a shadow clone sent by my creator to see how you were all doing, and wanted to send a message to the current Kage of this village. Attacking me will achieve nothing on your part, said the shadow clone of Naruto before taking out a message scroll and putting it on the table before he took a few steps back. What does it say? Asked Hayashi while Jiraiya read it, and was clearly red with anger. It's terms and conditions for a ceasefire between us and Whirlpool. With us getting the shaft, exclaimed Jiraiya angrily before slamming the scroll down, and Hamura read the terms Naruto had set. What? You are demanding that Konoha reveals all of its past sins to the world. From the betrayal of Whirlpool in the last war to the Uchiha massacre being a lie and Danzo's back dealings with Orochimaru, exclaimed Hamura while Danzo's visible eye narrowed. It's a shame the real demon brat isn't here. I could use my Sharingan to bring him under my control, thought Danzo angrily. Is that so wrong? Konoha is in dire straits. Its strength is no longer unopposed by the other shinobi villages. Though not surprising when you consider your past actions and all the enemies you have made because your ambition clouded your reasoning, mocked the shadow clone of Naruto while Jiraiya glared at him. You made them rise against us, countered Jiraiya with Naruto's shadow clone giving them a smirk worthy of Sasuke Aizen, and you have only yourself to blame for that. Betraying my family. My clan. Abusing me at your whims when bored or feeling I was getting too strong for your liking. Why should I show you or this village any loyalty from my time growing up? Countered the shadow clone of Naruto, while many in the council were barking at him. You are a weapon. All Jinchuriki are weapons. That is their purpose in life. How we use you is entirely at our discretion. Barked one civilian council member. Senju Hashirama thought differently, said the shadow clone while Jiraiya looked ready to butcher him. That was the decision of a past Hokage. I am the current one right now. Policies of this village changed with the times, said Jiraiya with the shadow clone nodding. Clearly. Where my father protected my mother's secret status as a Jinchuriki from the rest of the populace for known reasons to many in this room, the Sandaime Hokage had chosen to reveal mine, and you would make sure I was kept under control if necessary by the use of your knowledge regarding seals. Am I right? Said Naruto's shadow clone with Jiraiya seething. You, or rather the real you, will know your place when the time comes, brat. Your place is being this village's weapon. How we train you is entirely up to us, said Danzo with the shadow clone looking at him with a bored look. Really? So by your way of doing things, Jinchuriki should be controlled, restrained, beaten, and abused whenever their masters wish while being nothing more than super-powered attack dogs? Asked the shadow clone of Naruto with Danzo nodding. Of course. That is the only way a Jinchuriki should be treated, replied Danzo with a small smirk on his face. So if you or anyone here were made a Jinchuriki, you would have no problem being treated in such a barbaric manner? Asked Naruto's shadow clone with those in the room not answering or were looking away. Danzo merely frowned along with Hamura and Koharu. We are not Jinchuriki, so your question is pointless and irrelevant, said Hamura, as he saw the shadow clone of Uzumaki Naruto continue to smile at them. But it is relevant, Hamura-san. You claim, in fact you all claim that all Jinchuriki are nothing but tools, weapons of war, to be treated like attack dogs, and beaten like attack dogs to keep them in line. You expect the Jinchuriki you create to be treated lower than the filth and dirt on your shoes that you kick in their faces. Yet you protest such treatment when being in their position if you yourselves had become Jinchuriki. The people here in Konoha have set quite the double standard. Such hypocrisy is pathetic. challenged the shadow clone of Naruto. Enough. I am tired of your insults. You want us to have peace with Whirlpool and honor these so-called terms you've set? Never! Exclaimed Jiraiya while the smirk on Naruto's shadow clone just increased. I suspected you would say that. Thank you for making the real Naruto's day, replied Naruto's shadow clone before reaching in his pocket and threw a kunai at Jiraiya, who caught it. Nice try, brat, but I could read your intention before you reached for the kunai. Really? Then you won't have a problem with the end result of your decision in catching my weapon, remarked the shadow clone before it went poof. What? Exclaimed Jiraiya before he saw the exploding tag connected to the kunai with the genjutsu hiding it dispelling itself. Throwing the kunai away from himself, the tag exploded violently, knocking everyone back against the wall behind them, and the power behind it shaking the room with the glass from the windows breaking. But the attack had done its job, the fire burning Jiraiya the most since he was the closest to it despite throwing it away, and left a massive burn all over his face. What Jiraiya didn't know was the explosive sealing tag was mixed with the Kyuubi's chakra, which made it more potent, and the Hokage would have distinct burns over his face that the doctors at the hospital would be unable to completely remove from his face. Damn that monster! Exclaimed Koharu, as she got off the ground, clutching her side due to a piece of wood from the meeting table had splintered off, and stabbed her in the side. How did the brat's shadow clone even make it into the village in the first place? Asked Hamura while frowning at what just happened. It's that sword he holds. Its power blinds others to whatever he wishes them to see or believe. His shadow clone must have that same ability, or the real Naruto has people under his influence so they ignore it, surmised Jiraiya, as he had been studying just about every action Naruto had taken with that sword, and its powers to manipulate the minds of others. It was like the sword had the power of the Sharingan, only it went several steps further in terms of abilities. Surely there is a way to neutralize the power of his weapon? Asked Danzo while he was secretly making sure the explosion didn't damage his clothing or bandages in a way that would reveal his hidden appendages. None that I can see or determine for that matter. I'll need time to consult with the Toads further since they have been studying such a power when I told them about it, replied Jiraiya with a heavy sigh before he dismissed them all from this meeting. In the Inuzuka clan home, Tsum sighed as she walked into her home, wishing to be alone, and sat on her couch while trying to calm the headache she felt right now. For 3 years she had been having these arguments, debates, and discussions regarding Uzumaki Naruto regarding his past actions against Konoha. She had heard just about everything from hunting the boy down, to capturing him for reprogramming, and of course, ripping the fox out of his body to put into a new container. Of course, the last one was shot down since it had to be someone of Uzumaki blood, and the sacrifice of their only seal master who happened to be the 5th Hokage. Even if they had another vessel of Uzumaki blood lying around to be a Jinchuriki, which they certainly didn't, no one wanted to have another repeat of history in losing a Hokage in the off chance that the seal used was faulty. The only other seal masters at Jiraiya's level had been the Yondaime, his wife, and every other member of the Uzumaki clan either dead or scattered throughout the world, or rather the various members of the Uzumaki clan who had been scattered throughout the world, and no doubt returned home thanks to Naruto finding them all in the last 3 years. Tsum wasn't naive or arrogant in thinking Naruto was the only person left with Uzumaki blood in their veins in the world and long suspected a small handful of full-blooded Uzumaki clan members had escaped the fall of their homeland. Back in those days, every clan had some kind of escape plan to prevent their entire family from being wiped off the face of the map, and kept such plans on hand during each shinobi war. With the Uzumaki clan being the only clan in Whirlpool, they never let the protocols put in place since the Warring Clans era get covered in dust. It's frustrating, isn't it? You've been such a loyal dog of Konoha for so long, and yet said home has become a breeding ground for rats and pests who spread the disease known as corruption. If we were talking how sailors talked, I believe that the terminology used for what the Leaf Village has become would be plague ship, remarked Naruto, as he stepped out of the shadows behind Tsum, and was staring at a shocked Inuzuka matriarch. You! How did you get in here? Demanded Tsum with Naruto letting out a chuckle. You should know by now that Konoha can never keep me out or away from where I have to be when required, answered Naruto with Tsum getting ready for a fight. Let me guess, another shadow clone? Asked Tsum with Naruto smirking. Not this time. I only sent the shadow clone to the meeting you were just at because I knew everyone would be attacking me in such an enclosed space. Everyone fighting with fists, weapons, and jutsus without care who they hit so long as they hit me in the process. Can you say messy? Answered Naruto before Tsum rushed him with clawed hands. But the Uzumaki was too fast for her, and dodged the attack with ease. I'll show you messy! Exclaimed Tsum angrily, but she missed with each swipe of her clawed hands, and was soon backhanded by Naruto in a single move. Enough. Your brawling way of fighting makes you look like a child picking a fight with an adult when compared to me. Besides, I didn't come here to fight with you, remarked Naruto casually while Tsum got off the ground and wiped the blood leaking out of the side of her mouth. Why are you here? Asked Tsum with Naruto smirking at her. To recruit you and your clan, of course, answered Naruto like he was talking about the weather and how nice it was outside. Me? Join you? What makes you think that I or even my clan would consider betraying Konoha to join Whirlpool? Asked/demanded Tsum with Naruto smirking at her. Because you see what I see when looking at Konoha. You see a sinking ship filled with diseased rats. They don't know it yet, or maybe they don't want to admit the truth out of sheer arrogance, but Konoha is going to fall soon. Not today. Not tomorrow. Not a week from now, but it will fall soon. The question you should be asking yourself, Tsum, is, do I really want my clan and myself to be here when the fires of war consume this village? Do I really want my clan to be annihilated or enslaved by the enemies waiting outside these walls? Answered Naruto with some narrowing her eyes at him. And you'll just let my clan join Whirlpool in exchange for the entire clan's loyalty? Surmised Tsum with Naruto nodding. Why so surprised? Konoha basically did it to my mother when she arrived in the hopes of forming a part of the Uzumaki clan here in this village. In fact, hasn't Konoha done that with any clan on the run from their previous village? Loyalty for forming a clan here with us? Don't pretend like I'm breaking new ground. I'm just playing the game Konoha set up. It's not my fault I'm one step ahead of the other so-called players in it, and using the rules they set against them, remarked Naruto with some growling at that, since he was telling the truth. You had no right to betray this village. Regardless of what you claim about Konoha, said Tsum with Naruto now frowning at her, you speak as if you are one worthy to judge me and my actions of defying Konoha for what they've done. You're not. In fact, I bet your little tune about village loyalty would be very different if, say, your daughter or perhaps your son were turned into Jinchuriki. I do wonder if you would simply stand by and watch them being treated like trash every day they drew breath. To see them being beaten, abused, to eat rotten food out of garbage cans, kept under heel with piss-poor education, no real knowledge of their heritage, and treated like attack dogs with your affiliation of being an Inuzuka notwithstanding? You are many things in Inuzuka-tsum, but a neglectful parent is not one of them, countered Naruto with some pausing in her response to picture what would befall her own children if they had become Jinchuriki in Blonde's place. She had seen the boy, or the illusionary image of the boy the village wanted to see, being abused over the years. If the illusion she saw in passing had been the real Naruto, the boy would have lost his damn mind, or been pretty close to it, before unleashing the full might of Kyuubi's power on Konoha. Tsum also pictured both of her children separately in the blonde's place, and it sent shivers down her spine. You know I would never let that happen to them, replied Tsum with Naruto smirking at her now. And yet you condemn me for fighting Konoha while wanting a life away from such a horrible thing. Do your children even know the real truth about how their father died? Offered Naruto with some going stiff and tense at mentioning the man who helped in giving her children. No. The third forbid me from ever telling them the truth, said Tsum with Naruto letting out an amused chuckle. Not surprising. If they did, I can only imagine them going to the old man to get the truth, and would be met with incarceration before their minds were altered or wiped of any of their actions. As for you, well, let's just say the Hokage would have sent you on a mission that would have gone horribly wrong, and your daughter would be taking over as clan head after a Yamanaka did some mental modifications. Though with him dead now, I do not see a reason why you don't tell your children their father died for not following the village's plan and hating me. In fact, I have it on good authority from Mitarashi Enko that your late husband was trying to make secret arrangements to smuggle me out of Konoha to live a life away from here. So I could live a happy and healthy life, explained Naruto while Tsum clenched her hands tightly, and ignoring the pain felt when her nails cut into skin. The Sandaime said he was smuggling you out to Kumo, countered Tsum with Naruto shaking his head, a lie within a truth so you wouldn't feel guilty over his death. Even if it was true about smuggling me out to Kumo, they treat their Jinchuriki like people, replied Naruto with some still not convinced. And how do I know my clan won't be enslaved the moment we set foot on Whirlpool's soil? I am perfectly aware the Uzumaki clan are considered the experts in the way of seals. They can make a seal for just about everything, including enslavement. They could make a seal that makes what the Hyuga clan uses seem like a paradise by comparison, said Tsum with Naruto just looking amused. You don't. Still, I have no intention of enslaving your clan. If only to prove I am indeed a better person than anyone else in Konoha. Enslaving your clan or any other would make me out to be a hypocrite. I would gain nothing from such a petty act, replied Naruto in a casual tone. Why are you saving my clan and not the others? Asked Tsum while Naruto just let out an amused chuckle. Really, Tsum-san? What makes you think I haven't visited the other clans before you? Asked Naruto with some narrowing her eyes at him. You gave them all a chance to leave with their clans, Tsum concluded with Naruto nodding. Yes, though naturally I can't allow all the members of each clan join in the possible exodus from Konoha to Whirlpool. Some are too loyal or are part of route to be allowed entry into my village, replied Naruto with some nodding since she along with the other clan heads knew some of their kinsmen were part of the organization. I need time to consider your offer. I just can't agree to this right away, said Tsum with Naruto smirking at her, and it was making the woman nervous. You have 3 days. 3 days to make your decision and arrive at a select location I have written down for you to be at a certain time at night. I'll be back to see all of you to await your decision. It should be moderately interesting to hear your answers, replied Naruto before walking backwards into the shadows. When she was sure he left, Tsum fell to her knees and began to cry, knowing that no matter what decision was made after 3 days it would leave a sour taste in her mouth. Outside of Konoha, will they take up your offer, Naruto-sama? Asked Haku while Naruto shrugged. That all depends on them, Haku-chan. Has Sasuke made his move? Asked Naruto with Haku nodding. Yes. He's seen how strong you've become and believes it only happened by leaving the village. I sense the Uchiha is no longer in the village, but now several miles out heading north to Rice Country, answered Haku with Naruto nodding. No doubt hearing how Orochimaru was once there and hoping to find one of his old bases of operation in that region. He will certainly be disappointed to know each base was destroyed once I got through with them, remarked Naruto with Haku frowning. You aren't going to let him escape to that region, are you, Naruto-sama? Asked Haku with Naruto smiling at her. Of course not, my dear Haku-chan. Why do you think I send Itachi to intercept him with orders to kill the fool? Replied Naruto with Haku smiling. I thought you would send Hinata after him. Not Itachi, said Haku with Naruto shaking his head. It's the smart move, Haku-chan. Itachi was always the best choice when dealing with Sasuke and is the perfect cover for him, said Naruto, since Itachi would need this to bring about closure to his past sins and would bring about justice. Konoha shinobi will be tracking him soon. They will try to stop him from escaping, said Haku with Naruto smirking at her, which is why Hinata, Rashi, Enko, Jirobo, Tayuya, and Kodomaru will be intercepting any team Konoha sends with their own squads, said Naruto with Haku nodding. Valley of the End. Hello, little brother, remarked Itachi when he saw his little brother glaring at him with intense hatred. Itachi, I've waited for this day. Trained for this day. To think I would find you here the one time I decided to leave Konoha to get stronger. Kami has a cruel sense of humor, said Sasuke while Itachi, in his ANBU clothing, plus a white trench coat, and lower mask guard remained impassive. It was not Kami that made this happen, but Naruto-sama, stated Itachi while Sasuke frowned. Naruto-sama? Since when did you decide to serve that traitorous low-class loser? Asked Sasuke before he saw Itachi move faster than his eyes could track and was backhanded in the face by his older brother. Naruto-sama is hardly low-class, my foolish little brother. He has done much for this world and I will not tolerate your insults to his name, replied Itachi while Sasuke spat out some blood and glared at him. So you work for him now? How can you lower yourself like that? You are an Uchiha. Such a thing is beneath you, demanded Sasuke before taking out his tanto and moved to strike Itachi, but the older Uchiha blocked it with his own sword lazily. Wrong, little brother. I have seen Naruto-sama's vision of the future, and how he will be able to achieve peace. Sadly, it is something you will not live long enough to see for yourself, said Itachi before pushing Sasuke back, and the two began to fight with their swords clashing violently. Big talk for someone who is losing their eyesight and suffering from a lethal disease, remarked Sasuke, as he ducked a swipe from Itachi, and the older Uchiha in turn was able to dodge a thrust-crouch move. So Jiraiya told you. No doubt to make you feel more confident in beating me. However, I am no longer ill thanks to Senju Tsunade healing me, and I do not care if my eyesight is lost to me. It was a hindrance to our clan, but our pride in our Sharingan eyes stops us from embracing the truth that such power is meaningless, said Itachi before blocking two more strikes, a spin kick, and countered with a kick of his own to Sasuke, hitting the Uchiha in the head with the force of it, sending him skidding away along the water. Meaningless? Meaningless? The Sharingan eyes of our clan are not meaningless. They are our heritage, exclaimed Sasuke angrily before going through hand signs and sent a large fireball at Itachi. The older Uchiha easily sliced the fireball in two, a bored look on his face, and it only made Sasuke angrier. Throwing several kunai and shuriken at him, Sasuke watched Itachi either dodged or knocked the projectiles away. After that happened, Itachi looked at his brother for a few seconds, sighed at just how pathetic Sasuke was, and took something out of his coat pocket before putting it over his eyes. That's father talking. Let me show you the true power an Uchiha can have without the Sharingan eyes at their command. Cry, Suzumushi, said Itachi before a very high-pitched tone over the entire area of the valley. His attempt to brace himself had done little to stop it from affecting his body, and the Uchiha fell to his knees in pain. Sasuke didn't even have a chance to glare at his brother, as darkness had now surrounded him, and he lost consciousness. It is only because you are my brother Sasuke that I give you this painless death. In the name of justice, die, stated Itachi before piercing the back of his brother's head with his sword and gave it a twist for go measure. Pulling the blade out of Sasuke's head, Itachi checked for his brother's pulse just to be sure, and finding there wasn't one. To ensure no one would possibly rob the body of any possible secrets to the Uchiha bloodline like Danzo had done with his kin all those years ago, Itachi picked up the body and threw into the cliff wall before burning the body with a fire jutsu. After seeing the remains of his brother burn, Itachi began walking away and leaving the area, but stopped when he sensed someone who Itachi had come to feel a great deal of anger for over the years. Shimura Danzo. You did Konoha a great service, Itachi. I expect nothing less, remarked Danzo with his team of root shinobi beside him. Strange. I expected you to be angry with me at killing the only loyal Uchiha of Konoha. I doubt Sasuke going rogue has been revealed to the public since it would make Konoha seem incompetent, replied Itachi with Danzo smirking. You are the last loyal Uchiha of Konoha. That much we both know is true, Itachi. Come back with us to Konoha. We can clear the air regarding everything that happened to your clan with the people in the village, and you can begin rebuilding the clan again, offered Danzo in a gentle tone, which made Itachi secretly want to vomit, or at the very least he wanted to plunge his sword into his own chest. And Sasuke? asked Itachi while staring at Danzo, though the old war hawk couldn't tell due to his new eye were given to him by Naruto days ago with special seals on them to repel genjutsus and hide his growing blindness. Sasuke was a spoiled child. We tried to make him strong, but he just wanted to take the easy path. Your brother was constantly lacking in terms of endurance when it came to his shinobi training. As much as I would have liked for Sasuke to be stronger and rebuild the Uchiha clan, it was not meant to be. Despite your eyesight being lost to us, I can see you've compensated nicely, and I'm sure a few of my root shinobi would be grateful if such a means to fight when blind were incorporated into their training, said Danzo while Itachi just stood there silently for a moment like he was thinking it over. I must decline, replied Itachi with Danzo frowning slightly while his root shinobi slowly reached for their weapons. Oh. Why is that? Surely you want to try proving to everyone that you are in fact a loyal Konoha shinobi.